The one where it has like the Reinventing the Steel logo, and it's got like Dime holding his guitar, and there's like flames, and it just has like years active, his birth date year and his death date year on it. Yeah, that's the one I had. Fucking Pantera. Yeah, I love that band, man. That's like one of those bands you could still listen to and be like, this is still some of the heaviest shit in the world.
They're my favorite ever.
Yeah. Like really? All-time favorite number one? Yep. Oh, don't use those. Don't use those. They're nasty ones. Here are the good ones.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
They are literally my favorite band ever.
Yeah.
And I've tried, I haven't tried, but like, I've been open to, sometimes when you have like a favorite band ever, you're like, nope, that's my favorite band, and I'm not going to try to like get them usurped by anyone or anything. But I've been open to it, and then no one has taken their throne since fucking I was 14.
Damn.
When they became my favorite band, so.
That's fair.
Ah, man, I don't even know how I would answer that. I used to tell everybody King Crimson was my favorite band because I listened to them so much.
Didn't they just come through?
Oh, they did, and I did not go. I should have fucking went because there's rumors that's like the last of them because Robert Fripp's like 80 or some shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I did get to see them though with Franco a couple years ago.
Oh yeah,
remember we saw them at the Auditorium Theater downtown.
Yeah, that's a good spot.
Yeah, that was a fucking killer show. So at least I got to see them like once before I die.
Cool. Yeah.
Before they die.
Before you die.
Yeah, before
they're gonna outlive you.
Yeah, Robert Fripp, he might, man. Whew. All right, we ready?
Yeah. We gotta roll the dice.
You got it by you. You wanna?
Yes. Yeah. 5. Potentially last.
All righty.
Right? 5. Higher the number.
I got a 5 as well.
Further back. Re-roll again. Yeah. Damn. Taking you to Vegas.
Rolling 6s. 4.
All right. Pass that boy over here. I'll probably end up going first.
6.
Unless I get a 6. 4. Shit.
No, he got a 4.
Yes, sir. Re-roll.
I got a 4, so I got a 6. All right, I'm last.
4, 5. I have 4.
Yeah, so you're first.
Wow.
Bill
all right.
second,
Weird.
I'm last. It'll be a good trajectory, though.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then also we'll save more fat on the bone for particularly your record because it's the most iconic of the 3, which is
sure
actually
we'll have a lot to say about Biscuit. I certainly do.
We're doing very well actually because, and I know we're not really recording right now. All our things are the best formulas are this, which is like the deep cut, the newer one, and then the staple.
Yeah.
So it's like yours is the staple this time, mine's the deep cut, yours is the newer one.
Bill's
so like
the good one.
That's like a
I like all the records.
No, I like all the records.
I enjoyed them all. Yeah. In their own respective ways.
Awesome, dude. That record is so good.
What is?
The Lindemann album.
Yeah, that's insane.
So fucking sick.
So good.
Yeah. So catchy.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I hate Peter Tagrin.
Yeah, me too, man.
He's so good.
So sick.
I hate you. You're so good.
I need to. He was on the URM podcast recently. I need to check that episode. Yeah,
that's killer.
I'm curious to hear what that guy has to say. Yeah.
Holy fuck! I didn't know he was on that.
Because that dude's insane. Like, talk about prolific. Like,
well, now Hypocrisy has a new album coming out. Finally, we should wait and talk about this one.
I mean, we're talking about it now, but we can officially start the episode.
Right.
Although I'll probably have some of this.
We got to do the intro, right?
Yeah.
You guys still do that?
No. We just record. No, the intro.
Oh no, not the song intro. Yeah.
No, nowadays I just start it wherever it seems like it's starting to go.
Okay, so why don't we start like moment of silence, then cut into it?
No,
how you guys want to do?
That's not how I'm editing this. We're just starting.
Moment of silence. We can still do a moment of silence.
2 minutes ago, this episode started
for our fallen heroes. What's up, everybody? It's Jason here.
And Bill.
With another episode of motherfucking Nothings for No One. No Things for No Fun. Featuring our returning guest, the best, better than the rest, Mr. Edward G. Go. How's it going, man?
What up? It's good to be back here. I know you guys always get a ratings boost when I arrive on my shows. Yeah, no, these are good
The
episodes.
music ones are always good.
Yeah.
And then we have before this, we have our third Omega episode, which those always do well because they're such wild card episodes. Yeah, and that one was fucking wild.
There's some shit.
That was definitely one of the crazier episodes we've had, which makes me want to do it more and more. So
I know we talked to a dude that did crystal meth. Like
and he was like doing it while we were talking to him.
Smoking crystal meth in this insane pipe, and he just looked like a regular dude that worked for like a startup.
You know what's funny is this?
He was a nurse.
Oh yeah, he was a nurse. Yeah, I forgot he told us what he did.
I don't know how true that is, but anything could.
He smoked crystal meth.
Allegedly, he was smoking crystal meth while we were talking to him. He said he was a nurse, and then he had this crazy fucking story about how you can't necessarily OD on crystal meth.
Yeah.
Essentially, you just get like caffeine jitters to the extreme is what happens. And he was explaining that to us. And yeah, it was interesting.
Nuts, dude.
And I just wish, so when we, because obviously with Omegle, it just goes through people like right away. If they stop, then it just goes to the next one, which is brutal because like it doesn't give us enough time to be like, whoa, hold on. We need to just like take a second, realize what we just saw or heard or whatever.
Yeah. Nope.
But there was one that like I said, it's our white whale. And it was this girl in like this crazy getup. I think face tattoos. I can't even remember. And a banjo. Yeah. And it just looked, I was just like, this is the person we've been waiting for. And she skipped. And I was like, no, it was just like the one that got away. So now I am forever on a quest to be on Omegle to find her again and hopefully talk to her.
Banjo girl. Do you remember what tag we used for that? Or with the
I have no idea. It was like towards the end. I think it might have been
music, just the general music one.
Maybe. Yeah, I think it might have been music. But yeah,
we'll put on APB4, try to find
the one that got away, man. Insane.
I've never done crystal meth. I'm trying to think if I've done no, I haven't done crystal meth. But anyone who said that they've done crystal meth says these two things, and I've talked to many people who have done it, and I'm not scouting them out, but they've always brought it up, maybe as a badge of honor.
Me to die?
Yeah. They always say the same shit, which is one, you can't take a shit.
Yeah.
And then the second is you're basically, again, wired to the point where you cannot sleep at all. And I go, that doesn't really sound that fun to me.
Sounds like a bad time.
It's like a bad time, but they really like it.
And you can't shit.
Yeah. And then also, if you do it for call it a 6-month span, you will
bender.
Yeah, like a 6-month bender. You're going to look like you've done it for 6 months.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like it wears on your facial features like no other drug. Oh, yeah.
So you look like what they call a meth head.
Yeah.
Which this guy did not look, but
not yet.
He claimed like he claimed that he didn't do it that much, or he just doesn't have addicted to it. Well,
then he was just trying to tell us about how it's not like a bad drug. And then he was just like, yeah, this is the only bad thing that'll happen to you. And I'm like, are you sure that's it, man? Like,
I feel like we should put a PSA at the end, like, hey, kids, like,
don't do it.
Don't do meth.
And that had to be like, he was the one. I mean, we don't know for sure if it was crystal meth. It was a crack pipe. So, and he had a torch lighter.
It just looked like a fucking bong.
Well, it couldn't have been because he had a torch lighter. And if that was weed, that could have been hash. Burned up. Yeah, it could have been hash, but hash to make clouds like that, I don't think it would work in a pipe like that either. I mean, maybe, but like,
unless he's an idiot and just roasting the shit out of his weed.
Yeah, but it looked, that was
for the sake of like,
for saying it's meth. Yeah. I don't think that was it though, because it's still like,
it's Omegle. Like that's such a fucking crapshoot of like,
I think it's probably meth. Plus, like, why would you lie to people and tell them that you're doing meth just for like the shock value to a stranger?
Maybe he seemed like a pretty lonely guy. Yeah. Like he's
like, I need to hit a home run with these kids.
Well, he was telling us about this whole community of like meth heads on Omegle.
Yeah, like, it's like if you put in, which we didn't do, but if you put in meth as like drugs, the tag,
that's how we found him.
You'll find like this, which he said there are multiple people that he's like run across like over and over again.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll do a meth only episode.
Yeah, maybe. Dude, shout out to the fucking weed panther.
I know, and I actually have a story that loops in what we're talking about, which is this is a Weed Pantera shirt, vintage, obviously. When I went to see Pantera for the first time, I was 14 years old, and it was like an outdoor show at Tinley Park. Tinley Park is for any remote listeners, it's the big outdoor, what they call the shed. Like a shed is different than a stadium or whatever. Like,
it's an amphitheater.
Yeah, or and they put it in the middle of fucking a remote location and make you drive an hour for it. But
depending on your age, everybody calls it a different thing. Like I call it Tweeter Center.
It used to be called the New World Music Theater. That's the generation before us.
Yes, yeah, and then it became Midwest Amphitheater?
First Midwest Bank Amphitheater, and then there was a Hollywood Casino Amphitheater. Yes. I have no clue what it is now.
It's
I call it Tinley Park.
I saw it recently and I can't remember what it was, but it is something different again, which is so funny how that works.
I know it is Hollywood Casino Amphitheater.
It's not that anymore.
I know it's not.
It's something else. Somebody recently went there.
I'm sorry. I know it as Midwest. Yeah,
okay, that makes more sense. I'm
trying to think of the first time I went there. I think it was for Ozfest 07.
Yeah, mine was an Ozfest.
I've seen a bunch of Ozfest. They were so fun. But my friend obviously Pantera was the biggest weed band that there was.
Was this a Pantera?
No, okay. So all right. So this one was actually Ozfest 2000.
Okay.
And it was.
Yeah. I've seen videos of that.
Whatever. Static X, Soulfly, Pantera, Godsmack, Ozzy. It was a good one. They all were good ones until they started getting bad towards the end, where it was just whatever, Atreyu, and shit like that. But shout out to Atreyu.
Yeah, dude. Shout out.
But
still a band.
Yes.
Pantera being the biggest weed band ever. Before they went on, everyone was just passing around weed.
Hell yeah.
And my 14-year-old, we were 14 years old. My friend takes a hit off what he thinks is a one hitter.
Oh no!
And he hits it. I'm sorry if I told this story before. I don't think I've maybe told this to someone recently. He hits it and he goes, dude, I just took a hit off something. I'm pretty sure I just smoked crack. And I go, what?
He was 14
I thought, he was 14 years old. He goes, scary. I thought it was weed. When you got your hands on any weed back then, it was almost, you hit it like it's your fucking job because you don't know. It's weed is hard to get. And
not only that, but weed was so shitty back then that you had to hit the fuck out of it to get an effect out of it. Otherwise, it's not even worth it. So it is the perfect storm for something horrendous like that to happen.
And when you got your hands on alcohol, it was bottoms up, no matter what it was. Like spoiled liquor or whatever, you just did it.
Yeah.
And then what happened was he hit it, and he described it. He's describing it to me. That it did not taste like weed at all. He goes, I'm pretty sure I just smoked crack. I looked at them.
Burnt like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Right? Yep.
And then he took the biggest hit of it. And then what happened was, as soon as these words are about to come out of my mouth to give him advice on how to get through this, the lights dimmed and Pantera arose and went on stage, and he's still waiting for the answer from me on how to deal with this crack high.
Was he all right?
Yeah. He's doing well. And
he's doing well now. Yeah. How was he at the rest of that show?
You know what? I think he had a good time. He didn't look cracked out. Maybe his body just rallied behind it and said, we need to override this crack sensation we're getting. Sure. It might have been meth. I don't know.
Immune system. Yeah.
It might have been weed laced with something. Who fucking knows? But
that's
we were
scary.
14. Yeah.
Well, he lives, so that's good. That's scary.
You know what's really funny is this, and I'm not going to talk much about the fact that I saw Metallica 2 weeks ago at the Metro in Chicago.
No, go on. We haven't had a guest on yet.
I would love for you to talk about
what happened. Real simple, which is, and I've been tight-lipped about it because I felt so bad for so many people who, everyone's a Metallica fan, but so many people didn't get to go. I'm one of the lucky ones, and I take that very seriously. Our mutual friend, all our friends, Nate, was there as well. Besides that, I really didn't see anyone. It was a show that was a once-in-a-lifetime show. It was amazing. People came up to me immediately, and they're like, it was the best show ever, right? Now, the answer is technically yes. But I will say this, which is, I immediately thought about it as, all right, it was the best show I've ever seen in theory, but it paled in comparison to bands I saw back in the day, like Pantera, when I was 14, between the ages of 14, 16, that whole thing, and seeing Rage Against the Machine around that time, where it was just a moment in time that you can't replace because of the age, being bright-eyed, and then also you were in on something that wasn't back end, tail end of career, kind of like Metallica on a victory lap.
You were living through the moment.
You were living through
in that moment, not just looking at like a museum exhibition of the moment. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Not that I'm shitting on that Metallica show. I would have loved to have been there. But that's a cool, interesting way of putting it, because it's like, it is sick. I mean, you're probably never going to see that happen again, I would assume.
Dude,
at least at the Metro.
The way I was thinking about it, I was like, I'm not a huge Metallica fan, but I think like an opportunity like that has to be like the cool. Like, there's so many bands that I wish I could see do that. Like, to see them in that small of a venue and like that intimate, like, and they're at such a fucking level that's like, that never should have happened, but it did, and that's sick, and it's awesome that you got to go and some of our friends got to go. So I'm very happy for that.
Extremely cool.
And they played Fuel, dude. What the fuck?
They played a lot of great songs.
They fucking played Fuel?
Yeah. That was one of their encore songs.
That's the only song they played off of Load and Reload.
They played Whiskey in the Jar. I know that.
Yeah,
awesome.
that is fucking killer.
Nate was not happy about that. I was like, come on, man.
I know. He talked to me about it. We had
like his least favorite song.
Whiskey in the Jar?
It's like his least favorite song. Yeah. He doesn't like that cover. Yeah. I think it's sick.
I love it.
Yeah, it's great.
And it was such
I enjoy that album, the Garage Inc. It's the shit.
Awesome. It's amazing.
It's so good.
That record.
John Popper shows up.
Yeah.
And harmonicas it up.
Awesome. Thanks, Pep.
Yeah, Pepper Keenan is on that same track, which is Tuesday's Gone.
Oh, I know. Max quotes the end of the song where James and everybody's thanking each other like all the time. So very familiar.
If memory serves, that
thanks, Bo. Thanks.
If the memory remains for that track, it was they did that track live.
Yeah,
where it was just them jamming in a fucking room and they pressed fucking record.
That's so sick.
Probably some overdubs were done, but that's one of my favorites on that record. And also, Whiskey in the Jar was such a great track for that show because it's a Thin Lizzy jam. Like it's just a fun drinking song, and everyone loved it because the majority, the extreme majority of people at the show, in case people were interested, were bar people. Because it was the only people who could get up that day on a Monday and not go to fucking work.
Already at work. Yeah,
exactly. So really cool show. And it was awesome. They sounded great.
Did you get any merch?
I got everything.
Nice.
They had two things, which was a poster and some shirts. Yeah. So I got a few shirts and the poster. And it was an awesome time. But again, like putting in perspective, those I used to see Pantera or Rage and think when I was in the stadium watching it, that I was in on something that everyone else outside the stadium wasn't. And that's the best feeling in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Now you're in an environment with seeing Metallica at the Metro, granted, amazing. But, a 59-year-old's next to me and I'm just like, all right, that's cool. But it's different than a bunch of age demographic people or 18 to 35-year-olds are all in one room. A 35-year-old was an old dude at a Pantera show. And now I'm older than that. So it's just crazy to think of it that way. But those are my favorite bands to see. So it was a top 5 show ever.
Oh, sure.
And they did it so right, which is they came out, obviously the lights hit and they came out with the Ecstasy of Gold intro. It was unbelievably epic. And then there's, you see.
What was the first track?
Whiplash.
Oh, yeah.
You see James Hetfield walk on stage and you're like, that is James Hetfield.
Yeah.
And
at the Metro.
He's like right there.
I went with my sister. She she was making fun of a kid there that was, and I think I mentioned this to you, Bill.
Yeah.
He had to have been from Naperville. Anyone that's
definitely a deep suburb kid for sure. Yeah.
Whenever I mention the generic deep suburb individual, I always say they're from fucking Naperville. And
it's a safe bet because it's a giant.
Naperville, man.
Naperville's great. I love it. The downtown is phenomenal,
suburb.
But it's gigantic. So there's a good chance that anybody that's from the deep suburbs coming into the city is probably from Naperville. Yeah.
He goes in
big.
He goes in the
massive.
He's in the venue pacing around for an hour and a half like a lion, nervous. Because he was just so overwhelmed by it. Like 20-year-old kid, and he's about to see gods and on stage in the smallest room, and he thinks the rug's about to get pulled out from under him. So he's just like walking around like this the whole time. My sister is pointing at this kid going, what's up with this kid? And I go, I know we're both having drinks and stuff right now, but this kid is shot out of a cannon and I understand why.
He is like ready, like beyond ready.
As
that's awesome.
hell. So that was endearing, but it was the tension in that room prior to them going on, you could cut with a knife.
Oh, I'm sure.
It was just a fever pitch on a Monday.
Because going into that, you're seeing like a once in a lifetime thing.
And you didn't have time to think about it because you got tickets hours before it, and then you're in that room. And
it's like a dream.
It was like a dream.
Probably happening so fast too.
Yes, it happened very fast.
Yeah.
So it was unbelievable. And again, it'll be the best show of this era of my life that I will see. And I found it really funny that some dude he was on the WGN was outside. Mm-hmm. And by the way, everyone kind of seen this or whatever. WGN was outside just filming arbitrarily. And yes, they do for a split second catch me in line, which I find fucking annoying.
Nice.
Damn it. And I watched WGN. Fuck, I should have watched it. I was working on site.
So I am on the WGN cast and it's me in my cardigan sweater and a couple of people pointed out. But what happens is they interview some dude. This is amazing. And then we'll move on to our records. They're interviewing some dude who's probably 59 years old. He's like, yeah, man, this is a once-in-a-lifetime deal. I missed Metallica back in 83 when they came through, so I wasn't going to miss them up this time. And the interviewer basically says, you haven't seen Metallica before. And he goes, no, man, it's never worked out for me. And then I'm in the back of my head thinking, dude, you're fucking 59 years old. I'm way younger than you, and I've seen them. This is my 8th time seeing them.
Yeah, what does this guy do?
What? Yeah, what?
Like, what? Are you like a traveling, I don't know, like traveling doctor? Like, what are you doing?
I'm like they've come through every year in some shape or form for every year and a half.
I don't think it's that difficult to see them.
They're very easy to see. I've seen them 8 times. And I'm a fraction of your fucking age.
It's so funny, man. I forget that, like,
That's funny.
I've seen Metallica.
Have you? I've never seen them, but that's awesome.
One of my dads, shout out Dave Klima. I don't think he's listening to this, but motherfucking Dave Klima, my dad's homie that he used to see at the county building. They used to work together for years. He was such an awesome dude. But like Metallica's his favorite band. He's crazy about Metallica. And I was in middle school or very early high school. It was when Death Magnetic dropped. He had extra tickets for that tour cycle. It was them, The Sword, and Machine Head. And he had extra tickets, and he's like, "Oh, you should bring your son, and you should come with." Like to my dad, and my dad's like, "All right, let's go." I
was there.
So at the Allstate.
It was all.
I feel like I know a few.
They might have done 2 nights.
They did do 2 nights. I was only at one of the nights.
Yeah, I think I was only at one as well, and that was cool.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was one of the times I've seen him. I saw them on every tour since the fucking record, which was I think it was Reload.
Yeah.
That was like I think the first time I saw them. Really? I was I think I was 15.
I love that album so much, dude. I love that record so much.
Yeah. I mean,
so good.
And Low definitely holds up. If they
love that too.
If they morph those, we've probably talked about it, if they morphed them into one big boy record, it would be phenomenal. And I saw actually the prior.
Nate is so mad right now.
Yeah, he's not even a big fan of the Black album, but it's apparently growing on him. He told me that recently.
Fair enough.
Great show though.
He asked me the other day when we were working together, and he was like, "What's your favorite like Metallica song?" I was like, "Honestly, I don't know." I was like, "I like all the hits that have ever come out. Like, I really enjoy them all. Like, how could you not?" But I was like, I can't really be definitive about like this Metallica song is my shit. I was like, I like it, but it's not like my end all be all for sure. Course.
Yeah.
Good show. So good to be here, guys.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Good to have you here, buddy. So there were no other bands at that show, right?
Nope.
Just Metallica.
They rolled up. It said 8:30 to blank. They played a 2-hour set, flat, 15 songs, talking between songs, whatever. It was cool. And if you saw the set list, they played Frisco the prior week in another small club. Half the songs were the same. Half the songs were changed.
Wow.
So they fucked with it. Very cool.
There is a really good video on YouTube of the set.
The whole set?
Yeah. Somebody edited something together, and I watched a little bit of it. It sounds and looks good.
Nice.
Now I got to go back and watch them play Fuel.
Yeah. I read some article, and this is the last thing I'll say about Metallica, but I read some article the other day, Metal Sucks published, based off another article with a recent interview with Lars talking about how now he finally understands why, like, Jason Newsted quit the band, and he said so many like really smart and like emotionally intelligent things that I was like, wow.
Really?
Like, yeah, he was just saying like all this shit about like how they've grown as people over the years and like how they understand how a guy like that could have been so frustrated at the time, and you know, and it's like it was really interesting. I should bring up the exact article and give you the quotes, but it was interesting to read and hear him say that shit basically about how like at the time him and James were like psychopaths with like keeping him like because they didn't want him to do anything else obviously and shit like that.
How old were they then?
Young, obviously younger than they are now.
Dumb kids.
Yeah.
And then also at this point, if the math works out, Rob is the longest running bassist in Metallica now.
Isn't that insane?
I know.
What? Really?
Yeah. Now everyone will think he's the new dude, and he's been in the band for 3.5 years. It's been way longer. I think it's like 21 years.
Yeah.
But the key is this, which is frozen in time. Everyone looks at the iconic records, and you can't take away the fact that Cliff Burton played on the first 3, and then Newsted played on not only And Justice for All and Black Album, but the records we just talked about, Load, Reload, Garage. And then because of that, you can't ever beat those dudes. And that's what sucks for Rob, but he killed it the other night. And
I'm sure that dude's awesome.
Yeah. So he's just a guy that if anyone's an Eagles fan out there, and he claimed himself to be this in an interview that I read like 2 years ago. He is the Joe Walsh of Metallica. Joe Walsh got in the back end of the Eagles and became kind of the guy that was just a beast that is now heralded as an amazing musician in the Eagles. He's a pivotal member. But he came in after they had already established a career and wrote a lot of great songs, and then just took it a different direction, more like rock and roll. But yeah, he's the longest running bassist in Metallica.
Wow. Yep. That's crazy to think.
Rob, the throne is yours. All right. Well, anyway, we got a record to talk about, and that is
not too dissimilar from Metallica.
Yeah, definitely not. And that is Methods of Mayhem.
So this is my pick. And it was.
I need you to just break this all down for me.
Sure.
This group and everything, because other than Tommy Lee, I don't know much else,
dude,
as far as the background of this band.
All right, so actually, I saw this band live.
Catatonic Youth video, but
I saw this band.
That was my introduction to the band. Was that video?
Really?
I had never heard of them before. I had never even known Tommy Lee had a new metal project.
Get Naked? Come on, man.
I was like 7.
You were a child. Yeah.
I saw this band once, and it was on that Pantera Ozfest I just described.
Really?
Yeah. So they were probably the second band on the main stage.
They were on the main stage?
Yes, they were.
Wow.
It was, I want to say Queens of the Stone Age opened up, and then Methods of Mayhem, and then you go into bands like, and this is not an exaggerated lineup, these are like Rock and Roll Hall of Fame bands. It was, at least in my world, Incubus, Static X, Godsmack, Pantera, and Ozzy. If memory serves, that was the main
stage. What year was that?
2000.
Okay, yeah, that's huge for those bands.
Yeah.
Incubus was on Ozfest?
Oh, yeah. Wow. They were on it a couple times.
Oh, shit.
So we'll talk about Incubus probably down the line somewhere, but they were on the Introduce Yourself record, and it was, that was a big summer for a lot of bands.
That's a heavier one, right?
Actually,
the one before.
The one before Science.
Yeah. At some point, I'll have to pick that.
But so that's when I saw Methods of Mayhem. Now, to put it in perspective, Methods of Mayhem are a group that I'll describe to the best of my ability. They're a group that is fronted by Tommy Lee, who is the drummer in Motley Crue. I am a monstrous Motley Crue fan for anyone who knows me. I'm a huge Motley Crue fan. I love that whole era of music, frankly. And Motley Crue is, a hot button topic kind of always, because they are trying to do a tour coming up this coming summer, and the fucking clickbait around is that Vince Neil, their singer, is so out of shape. He's doing solo shows right now, and he can't sing. He runs out of breath, and you're going and doing, this isn't even an arena tour, it's a stadium tour. They're playing Wrigley Field when they come through.
Oh, man.
So if you're playing with Def Leppard and Poison bookending you're right in the middle of those two. Joe Elliott from Def Leppard is an amazing in-shape vocalist. So is Bret Michaels. They're going to blow Vince Neil off the stage, and he's still out of shape and not improving himself. And America loves to do this particularly, which is they like to do this metaphoric thing, which is they tap a fake watch and go, "You got 9 months, dude. You got 7 months
together."
Dude. And they just count down to your failure. And even if he rights the ship and loses a bunch of weight and gets in shape, that whole thing, they're still going to rip him a new asshole this whole tour. And it's a long one that's been built up now for 2.5 years because it got canceled twice for COVID. And they're just going to tear him a new asshole. So I always feel for Vince Neil.
He's had a lot of opportunity to fucking turn it around. That's for sure.
But Motley Crue, I'm a huge fan of them. And obviously, I would say one of the defining members of that band, arguably the most popular, is Tommy Lee. And he was a dude around this time. And we're talking about, this is the let's start in the mid-90s right now with Tommy Lee, because this band, all right, so Motley Crue around the mid-90s, this is just post-grunge. Everyone, whatever Motley Crue was doing, they were still trying to come out with new records, couldn't stand anything Motley Crue was doing. And they just got, anything hair metal related was so passé at that point. And everyone's like, fuck this shit. And they still kept trying, which is hilarious in a way, to play kind of like arenas or sheds. And they would sell maybe 15% of the crowd, like, or what tickets were available.
Right.
Just abysmal turnouts. Even if they would stockpile Motley Crue with Alice Cooper or whatever, that whole thing, no one wanted to hear it at that point. So enter the mid-90s where grunge is over. And something is simmering right now where it's this new metal crop coming up that actually was, I would say, the first generation that were kind of raised on Motley Crue, Rat, that whole shit. Meaning Korn were fans of those bands growing up.
Oh, yeah. They're right in that age demographic and that area as well.
Nirvana wasn't.
Right.
Because they were almost a little ahead of the time. So they were referencing bands like, I'm trying to think of a band they would be into, but it would be more like that first wave of alternative than fucking Motley Crue and shit. And actually they hated it because it was so bombast, and they were so against it because they probably liked a band like Iggy Pop, Black Flag, that type of shit. Punk rock, first wave of punk rock. But
it was grunge is the kind of counterculture thing, whereas
it was the answer to hair metal.
Exactly. It was hair metal is the more like bigger, like prominent, you couldn't miss it, like whether you wanted to like it or not, it was there, which is kind of funny. Yeah, but then grunge was the bet,
So
the
now
answer to it. For sure.
now you have these new dudes coming up, and they're getting put to the forefront of heavy music. And they're like, yeah, we were Crew fans growing up. And then you don't ever lose people in your heart that you grew up on. So it's still cool as fuck to be like, I was hanging out with Tommy Lee last night, that whole thing. Now, around the mid-90s, Tommy Lee is the only guy of the hair scene, basically the only one, that's able to break free from it because of a couple things. The first is this, which is he remained... During probably around 95, all right, he gets in a very well-publicized relationship with Pam Anderson.
Oh, yeah.
They fall in love with each other, and then they proceed to not have a quiet relationship at home. They're going out every night. She's the biggest thing in the world, all right? Everyone thinks
she was on top of the world at that point, too.
And then she's now, you could kind of equate this to, or parallel it to the fact that, like, she is a person, Pamela Anderson's from Canada, and I think that if she came to the States, it would make more relevant sense to date someone who's kind of a more up and coming cool rock star than someone who's passe. But she was kind of trapped in that Canadian culture where it was like that's
they're 10 years behind all
exactly.
the time. Yeah.
That's
so
what
for her it's just like yes, like I got him. Right?
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Oh yeah.
They go out to clubs, LA every night. Tommy is in a situation where he rubs everyone the wrong way. He gets
why? Like just as his public image or just like on purpose?
Yeah, I mean like the dude was so just like his whole persona is so in your face. It's all drug, all party, all the time.
Back then it was a big, is he like, would you call him the MGK?
Oh dude.
Of 19.
Minus all the
cringe.
All the beef and shit. Yeah. Like he keeps seeming to try to get himself in. Did you see he tried to like get in some shit with Slipknot?
Yeah.
What an idiot.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, you want to get kicked out of another genre? Like, stop. Just stop. Just play whatever you want to play.
You cannot fight Slipknot fans.
So stupid. So stupid.
They are an army. They're like the Kiss army, but...
Yeah, and then on top of that, Slipknot's so gigantic compared to that guy. It's like, don't do that, man. And also, you're going to get crushed by Eminem. Like, stop.
There's a crossover, too, where a lot of Slipknot fans, I guarantee, like Machine Gun Kelly.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Especially now. With like the pop punk shit.
But anyway, let's go back.
They would go play Tommy Lee in the movie, in the Motley Crue.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, there's a lot of parallels to them. And it is also, he's also like Machine Gun Kelly's a genre bender, kind of like Tommy Lee did with this record, which we'll talk about in a second. But he would go to a club with Pam Anderson. They'd be coming out of the club. There'd be paparazzi. He almost damn near killed a paparazzi dude once by taking a camera and fucking whipping him. And then the guy got carried off in a stretcher. He had to go to jail for it. He had to go to anger management. He once
he took the guy's camera and beat the shit out of him.
It was around his neck, and then he yanked him. So like he gave him like whiplash essentially. And obviously,
that guy probably did not need a stretcher.
Yeah, exactly.
Camera's about like might as well milk it.
And then he actually once or twice got in a domestic dispute with Pam Anderson and hit her, and then it was her defending him. It was one of those things.
Yeah.
And then obviously, which is a sad thing to think about, in 1995, when you get in a domestic dispute, everyone like chalked it up like, oh, they were just like fucking around. And she got hit.
They were partying too hard,
Yeah, it's just, she probably said something stupid, and it's just like, Jesus Christ, we've come a long way, people.
We definitely have.
We definitely have. So now Tommy Lee's married to like a Vine star or whatever the fuck.
He's definitely turned it around. Like he was on like a YMH more recently. And it was interesting to hear him talk now, especially that he's older.
Vine, with that girl from Vine.
Yeah. It seems like he's definitely like
that's so
cooled it out and like good for him. I mean, a lot of those dudes did not survive all that shit. You know,
that's another thing that I don't get because that woman was so big on Vine and dated like another Vine guy forever. And then she dumps him. She's like, yeah, I'm going to date Tommy Lee. It's like the same thing as Pam Anderson. I'm like, why? You're way younger than this. And like, you should be dating like Drake or some shit. What are you doing dating Tommy Lee? I'm not passing any judgment.
He's still a very relevant
somewhat.
Person for sure in the zeitgeist of our world.
Yeah, that is true. I'll give you that. It's just very interesting.
And I'm sure, like, given like the personality of that guy, he's got to be the most charming motherfucker there is. Like,
that's what's funny is because I first saw I saw that YMH whenever it fucking came out.
It was like almost a year ago now.
Yeah. And like I was the whole time I was like, man, who the fuck is that woman? Where do I know her from? And then
I had no idea who she was.
And then I showed Sam, and Sam was a big Vine fan. So I was like, yeah, that's what's her face from Vine. And I'm like,
And what did she do on Vine?
Just make like she was a comedian on Vine. She made like a lot of like comedy videos on there.
Gotcha.
And shit. So,
which is like lame comedy. I've seen her tell a couple jokes and
not good.
Yeah, it's not my thing. She's not
a different generation of.
Yeah. Well, I thought like Will Sasso used to be funny on there, but
he crushed it on Vine.
Yeah, he was awesome on there. But yeah, this was like right before your like TikTok, like this is like
it's
TikTok,
a pre-TikTok,
like,
even
precursor
like
type shit,
Instagram, like real shit too. Like,
yeah.
Around this time though, so all this is happening. There's this very publicized relationship. The biggest thing in the world happens for Tommy Lee and Pam Anderson, which is they have the first celebrity sex tape ever.
Yeah. Okay.
And then around this time, no one.
That's what I was going to be like. Wasn't there a sex tape or something? Because I knew this was getting somewhere. I'm like,
we're getting there.
Yeah.
So this was like the incident at Roswell where no one knows exactly what happened. This was the first.
This is a pre-internet thing too.
This was almost like simultaneously when the internet was hitting because it actually leaked on the internet. And then what happened was people who knew how.
Is that what it was? I thought it got around through like VHS, and then eventually somebody like uploaded it to online. Finally,
here's what happened. Someone around 95, 96.
Because the tape was like stolen.
It was stolen.
Right?
Some dude apparently was doing contract work at their home. He was an ex-porn star, so he had like ties to like just being a creep, obviously.
Right.
Nothing like having an ex-porn star work on your home.
I mean, it's California, so I'm sure a lot of them are ex-porn stars.
Everybody in the construction business. Yeah,
90% of baristas are like porn stars. Yeah.
I used to fuck.
Yeah, I fuck. So anyway, you're gonna need about $2,000 for this build out. But go on.
This tape is stolen from their house. Someone uploads it. It starts getting around. Tommy and Pam sue them and then have to kind of reach a settlement where in order for them to get a large sum of money, they basically have to cease and desist pursuing any legal action, which basically means they're allowed to distribute it now. Yeah. That's where the tape came out.
Okay. That makes sense.
Then they started the creepiest infomercial of all time that would air late nights where it's like, come buy this porn tape. Yeah. And it was like a big, thick Disney, remember Disney VHSs?
The puffy,
the puffy porn tape, and you had to buy it for like $39.
What a time to be alive.
$39, and you had to send it to some dude in the mail, and then you would maybe get it.
Where it's like coming out of his fucking garage, probably.
And you're seeing them on their honeymoon, and or they're on a vacation or something. And there's two pivotal scenes to it, which are the take-home scenes. Because the most part, honestly, it's the definition of like a softcore porn, frankly.
Yeah, if I remember correct. I have seen it. Yeah, I've seen it, but I don't remember. It's been so long. I'm sure it's still
you could still find it
accessible.
But
I don't remember being all that like, it was just like, okay, we get to see her. That was awesome, I guess.
Because obviously back then, if you saw a thigh of someone you weren't supposed to see, it was like the biggest thing. Yeah.
And now it's like, Jesus Christ, like it's so accessible.
The two scenes that everyone talked about, because I'm putting myself back in grade school, was probably when I kind of maybe saw a couple things from it, but it was the one scene is Tommy Lee, who has apparently, it's known now through that video that Tommy Lee has a huge cock. And
fucking Pringles can down there.
So he has he has a huge erection. He's steering a boat with his dick. So everyone starts talking about that.
Quite impressive.
And the other thing too, which is you would have thought what she did, but it was the end all be all discussion that Pam Anderson gave him a blowjob while wearing sunglasses. And it's like up until that point,
home improvement girl.
No one had thought about the idea no one had thought about giving a blowjob wearing sunglasses, apparently.
Groundbreaking stuff. Really.
Those were the two groundbreaking moments of that video.
Wonder how accessible it is. I'm going to type it into Google and just see what happens.
There's probably like a bajillion sites with it now at this point. Speaking of YMH, there was a guy that they interviewed that his whole thing was celebrity sex tapes. And it's kind of interesting. He kind of like, I'm surprised not more people talked about it, but it's a bit of a racket that these celebrities are involved in. Sure. And it's this weird, like, kind of under the table type situation that essentially makes them a fuck ton of money and it gives them this another status of like celebrity, like brings them back into the fold of stuff.
You have to.
And this guy facilitates it.
I know, and you have to, if you're going to do a celebrity.
Obviously, I don't think that was the case with them, but.
With a celebrity sex tape, there's one simple rule, which is you have to act like it leaked and you didn't say, here's a sex tape, or else you are now a porn star. And you're now, that's a turnoff to people in so many ways.
But yeah, I mean, there's an element to it that's just like, it's that thing of like, I don't want to. Yeah, you're not supposed to see it, but I saw
the whole thing.
What's up?
It's on the internet. It's very easy to find.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Just skim through the entire.
You saw the hits?
Entire thing. Yeah, I just saw the.
See the boat?
Yeah, he's a large cock. I just shot Pamela Anderson's pussy. Jesus Christ! What a morning it's been. I can't believe I've never seen it.
Yeah. So
I feel like these two people are just not in your world.
Well, I mean, yeah, I was
given your
younger.
age and everything. Yeah. Because now to that, like, I don't know, like.
I knew about it. I knew about it at the time because I remember everybody talking about it. And like
when you hear Pamela Anderson, what do you think?
Sex tape.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like even before we just said that.
90210. But like
she wasn't on it.
Baywatch.
She was on Baywatch.
Baywatch. There we go. See, I don't even know.
That's funny. Yeah. So that's Sex why I imagine. Tape. Like to me, it's the Home Improvement girl. But
yeah, to me, it's Sex tape.
That's so funny.
That I've never seen until now.
But obviously, Tommy Lee is the biggest discussion at this point in the mid 90s, and he's the only one from this 80s metal generation that's hot button that everyone is still interested in
talking about
in the mid 90s, and that is able to springboard him into quitting Motley Crue. Everyone who's a Motley Crue fan knows this. He quits the band. They got the drummer, who was a female from Hole, to be their new drummer. She did several tours with them. And that was that was the big thing, which is they got a female in the band to replace Tommy Lee, and she killed it or whatever. But
was she on any records with them?
No.
What was the record? And I'm sorry, I don't mean to keep derailing this, and I promise this will be one of the last times. But there's a Motley Crue record that's like second half of their career. I remember me and Eric got it from the Oak Park Library because we thought it was going to be like a classic Motley Crue record, but it definitely wasn't. It was an album cover that had like all of them wearing like pig masks on the front.
Yeah, it's called Generation Swine.
Yeah.
And that was the last record Tommy Lee did before leaving the band, and that was supposed to be kind of their,
because he does a rap in the first song. Right?
Yeah, so it's them. That's the precursor for Methods Mayhem. It's them trying to look like Motley Crue 2000, like for the kids or whatever, but it just wasn't working. He leaves the band, and then he's able, through this newfound celebrity and the fact that he was tight with these new metal kids coming up, and also he's the only dude that is from that 80s metal generation that actually was into newer music. He was into hip hop and fused everything. He was like wearing Jinkos and shit, and he was able to, and he still looked the youngest out of all of them, so he's able to springboard into this new metal culture.
Everyone really preserved him.
Preserved him well.
It really did.
He partied, and he had the coolest girlfriend, and then now we have Methods of Mayhem forming. It's a new metal group that he's fronting. As far as the personnel goes, his right-hand man is a guy named Tilo, which was honestly
Tilo, let's go.
He's one of the worst rappers ever.
Tilo?
He was rough.
You think so? I think he's one of the worst rappers ever.
As far as the new metal movement,
yeah.
If you listen to this Methods of Mayhem record, which is actually a pretty fucking good record, it's like an awesomely bad record.
Yeah.
And
it's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun, but it's literally just them, Tommy Lee taking a metaphoric thing of hot sauce and just pouring it all over his whole record. And you know this because within the first 90 seconds of the record, Snoop Dogg has a cameo where he busts into a free flow.
Dude, and it's like a sick Snoop Dogg verse. It's like a really good verse.
And then
Tommy Lee's not the worst rapper on the planet either. If I'm being dead honest, like his delivery on that record, it's not garbage.
I don't know if I necessarily say he was the worst, but yeah, that's funny.
They bury all the vocals, so as opposed to a lot of when you hear Fred Durst's mixing his vocals, it's like risen above it.
That's interesting because I mean, do you know who produced or mixed?
No, I don't. But it was definitely put out by I think it was the Motley Crue label. It was like, this is going to be our new metal band, Methods of Mayhem, and there's a lot of great personnel that were in this band around that time, which is Stephen Perkins. I think he did some tracks on the record. He was the drummer for Jane's Addiction.
Okay, I thought that name sounds familiar.
They had the guitarist, I want to say, who went on. Oh, this is insane.
The dude from Bon Jovi, right?
Yes, the guy
Richie Sambora. Yeah,
the guy who replaced Richie Sambora, which was from Methods of Mayhem.
Yeah,
he's the lead guitarist in Bon Jovi now.
Sorry, I'm just looking up.
I want to say his name is.
Oh, Will Hunt was in this project.
Was he in Evanescence?
I believe he's in like a ton of shit.
Yeah, he's a drummer.
Evanescence, Scrape, Dark New Day, Black Label Society, Device, Crossfade, Rival City Heights, and then toured for Stain and Stagex. And he was on Soil album.
Also, the dude from, and this is insane, the guitarist from Failure was in the band.
Okay.
Who's Failure?
Failure is like an artier type brooding noise rock band, essentially.
I remember them, but I never listened to them.
So the bottom line is the personnel on it is amazing. Yeah. And then all his guests.
Morgan Rose?
Yeah, they have a follow-up record and he did the drums on that.
Okay,
Morgan
that's what's
Rose
going on.
From Seven Dust?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
I can't believe Tommy
who's
Lee
Chris
did
Chaney
drums on his own record.
That sounds really familiar.
Yeah, it does sound familiar.
Lon Chaney.
Oh, he is from Jane's Addiction.
Oh yeah, he's the bassist
And
That's
a
right.
member of Alanis Morissette's touring band.
Yep.
Weird.
So what was your introduction to this band? Was it
was
just knowing who Tommy Lee was?
And it was them being announced as a band with a new record out.
And
okay.
apparently, the DJ, the turntable dude in this, is from the Beastie Boys.
Yeah, Mixmaster Mike. I was just about to say.
Sorry, I should have done this before the fucking show, but this is just okay.
He got a bunch of dudes that were all legit.
This is it's like a legit all-star cast of people.
It's an all-star cast. So
it's interesting, and it's all the more shadowy back end of these bands, which is kind of funny.
It is really
good
funny.
for him for bringing these guys together. That's okay.
He was a dude. He has cameos on this record or whatever, guest appearances by the following. So many: Snoop Dogg, George Clinton,
Kid Rock,
Kid Rock,
Nuts,
Lil Kim, Fred Durst. I'm missing a couple other people. Oh, You God, who was one of the MCs in Wu-Tang Clan.
Which is like the most giant cast you could have at that time, too.
And then we all know what happened, which was if you listen to these cameos or whatever you want to call them on the record, guest spots, there's no continuity to the song. It was almost like they're partying at a club in LA. Hey, come back to the studio and cut something while they're on fucking whatever.
That's exactly what, this whole album was probably just a fucking party.
That was.
And then they were just like, go ahead, record something. Like that. It had to have been that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it unfolds like that, which is very stream of conscious, nonsensical junk food, but it's still.
It's just it seemed like a lot of coked out drunk people were like, that's a great idea. Yeah. Put it in. And nobody said no.
Yes. And it is a record that it was able to survive as a record, but then if you take that idea and try to put it on the road and make a real band out of it, it ain't fucking happening.
It's gonna collapse.
Yeah, because there's so many moving parts to it that it can't.
There's so many moving disastrous parts to it.
Exactly, and one of them being Tommy Lee, which is he's the center
of the tornado. That's was it Twister? It's clear, and you're like, oh, this is bad. That's him. And then everything around it is just it's disastrous.
That's so funny.
The record sounds great, and then also it's littered with the most fucking regurgitated, basic bitch techno beats ever.
Oh,
where it's just hit that standard beat and just fucking. And I know, and actually, I do know who produced the record. It was this guy named Scott Humphrey, who did work with White Zombie and Rob Zombie.
Okay.
So you know how Rob Zombie has a lot of tasteful techno beats and all his shit.
This is probably all the back end shit. They was like, yeah, I got some extras in the trash you can have. And they're like, they're like, fuck yeah, let's do it. Yeah,
leftover Rob Zombie.
Sounds sick. Yeah,
hell yeah, man. Oh my god, that's so funny.
You have this record by Methods of Mayhem, and there's some jams on it. The biggest jam, which we talked about already, is the song "Get Naked," which had a video along with it. Which
exploded. I remember.
Lil Kim was in it. Pam Anderson's in it. Mm-hmm. Fred Durst is in it. He's singing one of the hooks in the song. Mm-hmm. Kim is a beat. George Clinton's in it. And it is basically a stripper anthem if there ever was one.
Oh, 1000%.
It might be one of the biggest nu metal songs of this era. And there was another song they have, which I fucking love, which is my focus song on this record called Crash.
That was a fun song.
It's just a badass jam. And the lyrics are so vapid, where it's about his trials and tribulations of getting wasted and having to deal with paparazzi and shit, which is so fucking funny. Good. There's no legit aspect to the lyrics. It's just
You said stream of conscious.
It's stream of conscious, and it's so funny how I love people who make their own problems and then complain about it. Where it's like, it's just like.
Speaking of which, I was cracking up at the fucking song. What was it? Proposition Fuck You.
Oh my God.
Which I was like, Tommy, buddy, there's no way the cops are giving your white ass in LA a ton of shit, buddy.
Running up on your crew.
Yeah, chill the fuck out, dude. So funny. I was like, come on, man.
They won't let me bring a brick of weed into a club in 1995. It's like, yeah, you can't bring a brick of fucking weed, dude.
When in actuality, he probably could.
Yeah, it's just, you can bring a little weed, but
if anybody could get away with anything, it was that guy. Come on, man.
Dude, I want to talk about the aesthetic of this album artwork for a second, because it might be my favorite nu metal album cover of all time.
Bright yellows.
The bright yellow background with a demon face and the word mayhem or whatever.
The emblem that looks like that looks like a sticker you got out of like a 50-cent sticker machine from Taco Burrito King. That's literally what it looks like we're getting right now. And it's like, you could kind of tell that it's like, oh, that's supposed to be Tommy Lee as like a little devil with like a baby Huey tuft on his head, but there's a crown, and then there's these weird like his hair kind of looks like the guys from Twisted.
Sure.
From like ICP Twisted.
Twisted.
You know what I'm talking about? They have like the weird, they're not like dreads, but they're like the Spider Boys. That's exactly what that looks like to me.
And then that's what his hair looked like Tommy Lee's at the time.
Yeah,
that was his look.
Makes sense.
The Coolio.
His whole band, and Tommy Lee rocked a fucking Schecter guitar because he played guitar in this band. He would play guitar live. He had a Schecter down to his knees, and he would just like strum the fuck out of it while rapping.
The Cat Youth video is like one of the best.
I know, and I think them at Ozfest.
Probably.
Yeah. So they were just a train wreck of a band, but it was so awesomely bad. And you could totally tell at this point that it's a time slot hit where it's like, we're getting Tommy Lee in to do this record. It's halfway decent. It's probably going to get okay reviews. He has a great cast of characters on it, but this is probably going to fucking implode. But what happened? There's Tilo, who's phenomenal, the right-hand MC of that band.
Yeah.
Where is he now?
Is he a white guy?
I actually looked up where Tilo is right now. He lives in Ohio. He did
doing real estate.
He actually, if memory serves, started a vape company, which makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
like a vape,
he's got the upside down visor, the Nike visor. So yeah, this like image alone, just like vape company.
Man. Of course, that guy's run a vape company. God damn it!
He probably looks like this still.
So. But besides that, he has no social media presence. Hopefully, we'll tag someone who knows Tilo on this episode, and they'll send it.
I wish our show was bigger.
Yeah, I
just for that.
A Tilo interview would be pretty fucking
If anybody knows him, please, for the love of God, send him our way.
Damn, this is so fucking weird. Oh. Yeah, wow. Tommy Lee did look like a psychopath back then.
Looked very drug induced.
Yeah, bad looks.
Pictures,
but like, you know what?
But he survived. So good for him.
As long as he was having a good time.
And like I said, now it seems like he's really turned it around. Like he's
and
chilled the fuck out.
He's chilled the fuck out, and he's always been a person who, and this is kind of like the Machine Gun Kelly thing. He's a copacetic with evolving his career and reinventing himself, and that will help you in some ways. But if you suck at it, you're gonna get your ass kicked.
You're gonna get called out. Yeah.
Tommy Lee did something very, very smart in this, which is he surrounded himself with legit personnel who are leading the revolution. Fred Durst, Kid Rock. When you have these guys,
it seems like he's really smart about knowing who to be with,
who to work with.
With, you know?
Because once you start working with dudes who are hacks, they're gonna be like, your shit fucking is whack, dude. But obviously, everyone back then was obsessed with the guest appearances, and he had the right guys at the right time. And again, a short-lived project that was, obviously everyone knows where the name came from, which is Tommy Lee's always had the word mayhem tattooed across his stomach. He's always been a lightning rod for it. But that's kind of like the Machine Gun Kelly thing, which is he can't keep a low profile, and he can't not be surrounded by controversy fucking at all times. Mm-hmm. So in order to be at the thick of it, you have to kind of ride that wave, and it is what it is. You get shit on, you get in fucking conflicts, you have court dates, and it just goes from there, But the record itself is a fun jam, and it's exactly that. It's like a junk food jam where it's just like, this is such horseshit. And then what I was going to say about the guest spots is there's no continuity to it, meaning like, if the theme of the song is, there's a song, for example, I want to say the one Kid Rock's on might be called Anger Management, and then Kid Rock comes in and he just starts rapping about what is going on in Kid Rock's life.
Yeah.
And it's just...
everything is shoehorned I did like,
but I don't think he's on... I think he's on... Here, I'll look it up. I got the track list here. He's on New Skin.
Oh, yeah, he is on New Skin, which is one of the bigger songs on the record. They had a video for that.
Okay.
But
I should have watched the videos. Fuck.
There was
they're awesome.
All the guests have no continuity, except maybe the Little Kim verse, which is actually sexually driven.
Yeah, about... But riding the cock, don't stop or something.
You throw enough darts at the wall and eventually you're going to hit a bullseye. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Also, Tommy Lee was the person who introduced the world to the concept of what was a big 90s buzz term called size queens. Basically, then it became every dude had to have a huge penis. And it's just like, oh, come on. Like, it was.
Thanks, Tommy.
Yeah. Dudes were like, it's hard when you're in grade school and you're hearing, oh, by the way, your penis needs to be monstrous. But
I wonder if he boned Little Kim.
Probably.
Yeah, that checks out.
He's got numbers for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be funny.
But basically, Little Kim's verse is very size queen.
Yeah, 7 inches or it's something like that. 7 or more. Get the fuck out or some shit.
Anyone who's any lady who's had colloquial sexual interactions with me knows I'm just a smidge below Tommy Lee. But we all can't be Tommy Lee, dude. It is what it is. So but
damn, Lil Kim kind of looks insane now.
With why would she look
surgery and shit? No. She looks a little like strange.
Oh yeah,
little strange,
little rough.
She's looking, a little weird, Lil Kim.
She had to go to jail for a while.
I remember that.
Yeah. Why though?
I don't know.
Did she attack somebody?
She attacked someone. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Probably paparazzi.
Yeah, this record is just because my introduction to Methods of Mayhem was the Catatonic Youths video that I saw that Bill was referencing earlier. Funny. So it was just like a hypercut of the worst parts of
that is the worst thing you can see of any band.
And it's like, at the time I was like, what is this? Like, what am I watching? Like, obviously I knew it was a new metal band, but I didn't even recognize Tommy Lee in the video.
Oh, really?
Because they're showing footage of
Plus he's not playing drums.
And I'm like, who the fuck is this? And then I'm like, what? And then I still couldn't figure it out. And then somehow down the line I realized or found out that was this band, Methods of Mayhem with Tommy Lee. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even know he had a whole, because I wasn't
So you had no idea this existed?
I mean, I know now. I've known that this existed now. Before
Catatonic Youth.
Yes. I had no clue.
You had no clue that Methods of Mayhem was ever a thing that Tommy Lee ever did. Wow.
Yeah, I didn't know
it is in the grand scheme of things, it is a bit of a flash in the pan as far as projects go, because it was just the one album, then obviously later, but it did get shit on, and it was not very, it was embraced for maybe an hour, and then people were like, all right, we're on to the more heavy hitters of new metal poor guys.
Honestly, when I listen to this, it's just like a weak ass version of Chocolate Starfish. I mean, in a not maybe that's a bad assumption.
To me, it sounds like Head Pea.
Okay, see,
there's an unfocused version of Head Pea, basically.
I know, and Head Pea is more focused and a better band.
Yeah, and the album Broke is one of my favorite new metal albums. I know, it's so fucking good.
That is a very good one. And then obviously when you have Methods of Mayhem come out of the record in 1999, right around the time Follow the Leader came out, and you hear these monstrous choruses that John Davis writes. When you hear Tommy Lee just rapping some bullshit, you're like, this is the not good shit. This is the good shit, and you can't fucking beat it. It's impossible to beat, because it was just Korn was just hungry, and their best days weren't behind them. Which honestly, Tommy Lee's best days were in the 80s because they were a monstrous band.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, God bless them for trying. And I'm sure there was some level of success to this project. I mean, how couldn't you with the names?
It apparently went gold in 30 days. So a gold record will get you money.
Back then too, that's crazy.
T-Lo is what actually killed this band, because if they had a decent MC who was for example, one of the dudes from House of Pain was the MC, it would be a super
anybody
group.
just a little more notable.
He would have
been huge.
I know, he was just a joke.
I wonder what he just must have been in that friend group or something. And it was just super tight with him.
Yep.
It's the only thing I can think of, because with all the other huge names that they had with this, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, he championed having this dude who was just an idiot on stage, looking like a fucking fool, and that was what ultimately crumbled the band. So I put it all on.
I also think it must have been a thing of Tommy Lee's just having as much fun as possible with this project.
Yeah, it looked like it was a fun project. Evident. Yeah, and then also
I think just buddies.
I think he thought that he could really be up to the Korn level and Biscuit level or whatever.
I'm sure.
He was wrong, because it just, you can't. You couldn't beat that shit. And then also it's very important where, if you're going to try to do that thing where you're riding the next wave of something, kind of what Travis Barker's doing right now, you can't be in the forefront of it. Meaning he's essentially Machine Gun Kelly's drummer, or at least I know he plays with them.
He's the behind the scenes guy for a lot of it. No, Travis Barker.
If Machine Gun Kelly plays
producing albums for
him. He produces them, and if he ever plays Machine Gun ever plays a MTV Video Awards, Travis will fly up and play the drums for it.
Yeah.
And he's in the thick of it, but he realizes he can't be, even though he's from a monstrous band, Blink-182, and he's still in that band, he cannot be the guy that's up front fucking killing it, because that's not his place.
Right.
And the hot new rock star is Machine Gun Kelly, and whether or not he's definitely a hot rock star, meaning even if he's shitting on people or people are shitting on him, he's still talking. Yeah. He's getting talked about left and fucking right.
Oh yeah.
So, but Tommy being at the center of attention, it wasn't going to work. But it's still a cool record.
You want it. Yeah.
And also it's a record that a lot of people don't know, because it was so fucking here 1 minute, gone the next. And then they were a band for a year and a half, probably.
Do You coined my own term from the other day. I was talking about a band. This describes it as well, which is a shooting star straight into a toilet. Because it's just like this meteoric rise. You're like, oh, this is gonna be, and then boom, just gone. It's over before you know it.
And then there's some bands where an example is this, which is right around the time the band At the Drive-In, around the same area, blew the fuck up with their record release, Ship of Command. They broke up. They broke up like very soon after that. And everyone's like, we're just starting to like you guys. Where the fuck you going? At the Drive-In.
Yeah.
And then unlike a band like Methods of Mayhem, At the Drive-In aged super well. And everyone was like, dude, whether it's My Chemical Romance or any of that core shit that came up, they all look to At the Drive-In as like the OG band that they got a lot of influence from. Whether it's stage presence, to look basically like the super skinny dudes in white belts, the artsy aspect to them. So even though they went right in the toilet after they broke, they still kept rising. And now they ended up coming back with a comeback record, which was actually pretty shitty if you ask me, but they were a headliner of Lollapalooza a few years back, and they aged well is what I'm getting at. Methods of Mayhem, everyone they're sinking as we're speaking. You know, it's just
it has not gone up in any way, shape, or form.
He came back and did another record in 2010.
He did,
which I didn't even know about that. Like,
is that like the same thing, like the same style?
Yeah, it's the same style a little bit, and also he started getting into like more DJ culture, and I think it's more heavy based around that. And the dude loves hip hop and stuff, which is cool. But if you are a dude who's an 80s metal guy that is getting into hip hop now, it almost comes across as patronizing, where you're like, all right, you're trying to do kind of like a rap thing with no cred. You're from the Hollywood Hills, and you're talking about how hard it is, again, to exist.
Talking about the struggle.
Yeah. And the struggle, again, like I'm saying, it was always him putting himself in these predicaments. It's like, if you stay home and party, you will not get in trouble. It's very simple. And everyone will come to your house, and you have money for booze. You don't have to go out and hang out with Andy Dick. It's like, come on.
I like... I'm a fan of the first 3 tracks. Like, I think those are all bangers right off the bat. I really liked the one with Snoop on it. I really liked Hypocritical. I liked Anger Management. I thought those were fun songs. By the time I'm like halfway through the record, and because I listened to this last night, like while I was smoking, because I was like, what better time to listen to this? And like, I was very baked, and I just kept laughing like to myself all night with like how much fun it was. But
it's a fun record.
Yeah, I was listening to it while I took my dog out for a walk, and it was really funny, and I'm like laughing in public because like the very last, like the last song before like the electronic ones that I noticed that producer had a heavy hand in, because he's on Spotify, he's like credited as a featured artist on those, a Scott whatever.
Scott Humphrey?
Yeah. He did a couple of, like, I guess some of the last tracks, but that song Metamorphosis, which serves as like lyrically like the last track on the record. But like the trade-off chorus between Tito and Tommy Lee, what they say, and I'm going to quote it on here. Tommy Lee's genius lyrics: I'm a father to my son, yeah. I'm a son to my father. You cannot dismiss I'm living proof of metamorphosis. Then Tilo comes in saying, times are changing, minds are rearranging. It doesn't matter if you're a black, Buddhist, or Asian. We all possess the power, concrete like a tower, so delicate the seed becomes a flower.
Those aren't bad lyrics.
They're not bad lyrics.
I was waiting for there to be like a
really
pitfall.
Funny. Like I heard
the juxtaposition of the music.
It's just like times are changing, minds are rearranging. It doesn't matter if you're black, Buddhist, or Asian. We all possess the power, concrete like a tower, so delicate the seed becomes a flower.
Ahead of their time, man.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of like, what is
towers?
How do we get
towers
from,
are
like,
not made of concrete.
Yeah,
by the way.
And by the way, how do we get from like Lil' Kim talking about riding a dick to this guy Tilo now telling me to blossom like a flower? It's a nice message, but it's just like, is this your guys? Like, is this the solid attempt at doing like the serious track? Because like, man,
or a serious
I don't know.
moment, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's just so funny to me because I'm like, is he saying flower? And I had to look up the lyrics, and I laughed so hard.
I love when there's like a vapid record that out of nowhere has like a meaningful lyric and it sticks out like a sore thumb, and you're like, wow, that was pretty profound. I love it. That happens if you listen to like a Limp Bizkit record. We'll talk about yours in a minute, but it is every now and then you'll get something where it's just like, all right, that's a pretty fucking great lyric. That's spot fucking on, and it means something. But you have to comb through all this bullshit nonsense in order to get it. And believe me, I love Limp Bizkit. I'm a fan. It's just that it's junk foodie lyrics, and then it's just like, wow, that is really spot fucking on. Beastie Boys did that a lot. They were a band that talked just shit, and it was about pinching the neck from Mr. Spock, like it's the stupidest shit ever. But then every now and then they'd be like, I got to say a little something that's long overdue. Disrespect to women has got to be through. You know, like shit like that. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah, it is cool. Yeah, well, Tilo, I thank you for your wise words and your inspiration.
And please welcome Tilo.
Yeah, that would be sick.
I would shit my pants.
Yeah, I love this record though. I'm thinking I'm gonna try and find the cheap copy of the CD just to like throw it in the collection.
The best somewhere. The best is if you
you're on tour in the South. But go on.
Like a shirt. I'd wear it.
If you listen to a record back then that came out, they were all super long, 50 minutes, 55 minutes, sometimes 61 minutes.
Yeah, this is a short one.
This record's 32 minutes. It's like the length of a Something Is Waiting
It's
LP.
cocaine infused.
And it's just like, like they had to, what I'm getting at is I think they were up against the clock. They're like, we have a window here to get this shit out. Go. Like you could probably write 4 more songs, but at the same time,
just get it out there.
Get it out there
while the iron is hot. Yeah.
The iron is smoking.
Good news. According to Wikipedia here, on April 2nd of 2019, it was announced that Lee had resurrected the project and had plans to release a new album in the future. So there's potentially a third Methods of Mayhem album.
See you at the House of
coming
Blues.
Out at some point.
Methods of Mayhem. Can't wait.
Bring back Tilo, man.
Nah, that's definitely
if they got the original lineup
deep
at
suburb show.
It's Joliet.
Yeah.
That's a fucking Ford show.
They should reopen Bada Brew for that one, dude.
Oh, it would crush. The place would get smashed for sure. No, that's a fucking Ford show if I ever heard one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Definitive. I'm actually going to the Forge in a month.
Oh, yeah? For what?
Yeah, I'm going to catch that Dying Fetus show. My buddy Chasen.
Way better.
You know Chasen.
Westmoreland.
He's doing drums for Vitriol on that run.
What?
Yeah. I don't know how, but he's doing it. And I mean, he will be able to do it.
Oh, he'll crush it.
I'm just going to see that pretty much. And I want to see Dying Fetus it's Dying Fetus, Terror, which is a sick bill, Brand of Sacrifice, who's a new deathcore band that's huge right now. And
at some point, I need you need to get up there and get a video of him just crushing a song, like any song.
Yeah.
I want to see that drum a song from that band.
Oh, that's awesome. I'll do it. I'll get one.
That's awesome.
I'll get a bunch from him.
Fuck yeah.
I just want to hang out with him too. I haven't seen him since like he was on tour. No, I saw him when last time I was in Vegas like 4 years ago or something. But like it'll be cool to hang with him again. But I'm just like, fuck, why is this at the Forge? Like, why do I got to drive to fucking Joliet? And now from where I live, that's going to be like 2 hours. Yeah.
I know, because, oh my Lord, even getting to like Bill's area, for example, it's difficult from our area.
Yeah, it is.
It's a long road.
And there ain't no highways that go there. You got to do like into the city of Chicago and then whatever, head west. And it is tough. So the Forge makes it exponentially worse. You got to do like a 294 or some shit.
Yeah.
But this is a good record to start with, I think.
This was a great start.
Yeah, this was a great kickoff. So it's so funny because like
I highly recommend everybody check it out.
Methods of Mayhem is like that more rap leaning side of nu metal. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
that aspect of it.
Really
they leaned into it real hard.
Yeah. Like, because you see Limp Bizkit, and granted, they also have that large influence, but there's also a lot more going on with their music, I feel like.
It's a nice mixed bag of stuff. Yeah.
And then another thing is this, everyone's been asking me about the new Limp Bizkit single, which is
Dad Vibe.
The next record we're talking about is the Limp Bizkit one, correct?
No, the next one is Lindemann.
Yeah.
All right, I'll save that comment for when we talk about it.
Yeah, Dad Vibes, the checkout song. But I almost picked that for the checkout song.
This is a good deep cut. If you're looking for something that is easily enough digestible, deep cut nu metal, go for this. And
it's a very like sugar based nu metal pick, you know, like
you'll get a good, not a laugh out of it, but you'll be like, fuck yeah, you know, and also
you might get a laugh depending on who you
definitely get a laugh out of it. And I think you'll enjoy it for what it is.
You enjoy it for what it is.
You know?
Fuck you was a proposition.
It's so good. Yeah, dude. I was like, that guy's not having a hard time with the cops. Come on, man.
Getting a brick of weed into a club. That's so funny to think about.
I love how Tommy Lee had.
Why would you want to even bring a brick of weed to a club? You're
once
not
again,
smoke that much.
Once again, that was the early mid '90s. Weed was god awful back then, and you needed a lot to get high. It's not like how it was today.
Yeah, everybody tells me that weed was so fucking weak back in like the '90s and the early 2000s and shit.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like we had to smoke a fuck ton to just like get as high as you get now. Yes. It's insane how you can rip it now and you're like, fuck, this reminds me when I smoked a whole joint.
Yeah, right back then.
It's crazy. You'd smoke blunts because you had to smoke so much weed. It was crazy back then.
Hell yeah.
Very true.
It's nothing like it is now.
I gotta piss real quick before we dive into this next record.
I find it really go for it. I find it really funny that around this time, Tommy Lee has a guest spot by Kid Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Years later, not that many years later, I don't know if you remember this, and I don't know if the fans remember this of this show. Tommy Lee and Kid Rock get in a well-publicized brawl at a Video Music Awards, and it's filmed by MTV.
I'm sure it happened, but I don't quite remember.
And
also, Kid Rock married. Is he married to Pamela Anderson? Was married to Pamela Anderson?
He was engaged to her, I think, and maybe they did get married for a minute. But also,
wow, weird. Go on.
If memory serves, they broke up, which was, and this is not an exaggeration. He hated the way she was portrayed in Borat. Kid Rock did. Because she's portrayed the whole time like it's tongue in cheek, but like she's prepared. She's portrayed in Borat the whole time like the American slut, like queen of sluts. Like it's all these like weird jokes at her, which are very like.
Really, I've only seen the second one. I've never really seen the first one.
Okay, so watch it, and it's not the best. Like it's sarcasm, and Sacha Baron Cohen is doing that sarcastically.
Oh no, for sure. Yeah.
But he didn't like the portrayal, Kid Rock. It ended with them having a massive rift in their relationship, ended up breaking up. And if memory serves, Tommy
because of Borat.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty like maybe that was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Weird.
But what happened was, if memory serves, Tommy Lee and Pam Anderson got back together for a minute after they divorced, or Kid Rock and them broke up. Like around 2008, they tried to make it work for like a year, and then finally they're like, "This ain't happening."
Do they have kids together? Right?
They have two
kids, right?
Yeah, and then also, what I always found funny was the two kids that they have are named Brandon and Dylan. And around the time they had them, it was the biggest show in the world was Beverly Hills 90210, which the two main characters are named Brandon and Dylan.
Jesus.
So that'd be like the equivalent of whatever the big show is right now. I have no clue what the shows are.
I don't know.
You know,
Squid Game.
Naming your children AJ and Meadow. You know, something like that.
Like it was just, we'll see those become popular names. Okay. But you have to talk about The Many Saints, by the way.
I haven't watched it yet.
Oh my God.
I'm watching it this week. I've been waiting. I know. I've been very,
Guess how many times I've watched it?
I've been very busy.
7.
4.
It's close.
Okay. That's a good number.
Guess how many times I've watched it?
None.
Exactly.
I use some of that. And now our next record is
Lindemann. Yeah. FNM, the second album.
More. This is for the Rammstein fans out there, and there are several who listen to the show. When it comes down to it, we did talk about a Rammstein one last time.
Yeah. Did we not? And you said you were going to do this one this time.
I claimed it, and I remembered.
Nice.
Oh, I have a couple coming up. I wanted to I have a couple coming up that in these next couple episodes. Woo! I've been waiting to talk about these ones for a minute, but on to Lindemann, which a record I'm super stoked on.
I'm running out of shit to pick. Like,
just go on Wikipedia.
I'm gonna have to and just pick shit I don't know.
Metalcore.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I just go on there and I just trying to find stuff that I do know
that you like. Yeah. Man, what a good record! This is such a sick fucking album. It's so much fun.
When did this come out, by the way?
2019. Yeah,
2019. So it's not that old. And it's, man, I pretty much listened to this last month when we did like the whole thing, like incidentally by watching all the music videos.
Yeah, the music videos are great.
The Rammstein. Yeah. Oh my God.
I highly recommend it. Like, just watch those. Even if you don't even like the music, just watch the videos.
Yeah. Like,
they're great.
The videos alone, but even this album just solidifies like how much respect I have for Till as an artist. Like, what a clever dude. What a unique dude. And like, I've never quite heard a record that sounds like this. It doesn't sound like Rammstein to me. And it's so unique sound. It's just crazy. It's so fucking sick.
It's really cool. Yeah.
I love the uniqueness of him. And I just, you know what, here, man, everyone will put over their own bands. And they'll say our band is the shit because of X, Y, and Z. One of the things that should be at the forefront of your fucking list is that you're doing something original, unique, and in theory, and this is extremely hard to do, if you get musicians in a room, they can't fucking replicate it. Yeah. And no one could replicate what Till does on this record. It's just,
I think him in general, like it's he's a very one of a kind frontman for sure.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, I don't think anybody's really ever going to duplicate that guy. No, you know, like I'm sure they'll come close and there'll be homages to him in the future, but really, like, this guy is like one of a kind for sure. Yeah.
The only band that I think came close to sounding like Rammstein was Lordi, and that was
oh my God, they sucked ass. They were like Euroguar almost, but
they sound like big chorusy and like they're from some country.
They're from Denmark, I think.
Yeah, Denmark,
something like that, or Sweden.
I have to check that out because I don't know what.
But Rammstein is. Yeah, I mean,
or Finland. They're from Finland. Lordi's from Finland.
Just Rammstein though is just unbelievably legit. And it's so hard to work so much darkness in, like Till does, with tongue in cheekness. And he walks this line.
God, so clever,
super clever super clever.
That's hard to do. Yeah. It's super hard to do. And I actually I kind of try to do that in lyrics I write, but it is when you're walking that fucking line, man. And he he created the fucking line.
Oh,
where it's like he says such dark shit, but he puts such a Disney-esque spin on it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's clever.
It's so
super clever.
Yeah.
Like he's up there with like the dude from the 1975 for me as far as cleverness goes with like their delivery and their lyrics and shit, because it is so like it's so shit that could be so on the nose to some people, but the way that these guys do it and the analogies that they make and the way that they present
the metaphors and everything.
I'm not a 1975 fan.
Oh man,
I should listen to them,
dude. They're like they're not metal by any means. They're a pop band, but they're like one of my favorite bands of all time.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah, I really dig them, but I'm not sure if you'll like them. Maybe you will.
Well, it's worth listening if you put them in a high category.
Definitely some clever lyrics. Sure. Yeah, definitely some clever shit. But like that's what this sort of in this album, like I love the vibe that it's like no two songs sound alike, which is so much fun about it, and it makes it for such a fun listen front to back. Like,
I think it's just like a chance for Till and Peter to just like stretch their writing.
The fuck they want.
Yeah,
and that's like
it seems like nobody said no.
Yeah, which is great. It's that's
and not
awesome.
in the party sense of Methods of Mayhem of like we're so drug and fueled right now. Just yeah. It's like no, the creativity is definitely like nobody said no.
It's like more is more attitude in this album. It's like oh yeah, let's make it more wacky by
it's like whatever you thought you couldn't do, whatever projects you were doing, like let's do it here.
And I love that when it's not aimless. Where it's just like, we wanted to use this one instrument, we got it, fuck around with it for...
Oh, it's very focused considering how crazy it is, like the writing. It's still very focused.
Man, that dude is, like you said, unbelievably focused, and he has a vision which always, I think it's realized pretty properly. It has to be, because there's no wasted motion with anything he does. It's just like the songs... Everything is meant to be there, whether it
seems very well planned out,
whatever DJ shit.
That's like the thing about that dude, Peter Tägtgren, like
a genius, man.
Yeah,
He's
man.
So
I'm all in on this guy now after hearing all these different projects. I'm just like, fuck, dude, how do you come up with this stuff? Like, how do you think like that?
I don't know. It's
very jealous of that guy's writing. Yeah,
he produced my favorite Belphegor record.
Really?
Blood Magic Necromance. It's got like a goat with like titties on the front. It's really sick. But like
it's the follow up to Blood.
I love because like immediately when I hear this album, like I think Hypocrisy because I hear I hear his style of writing and like Peter's got that like Euro pop writing mentality where it's like a lot of like 4 on the floor songs like bam, 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 bam. Like a lot of songs have that feel
it's
like
European club DJing.
Yeah, like what's the song? I have I got to look at what it's called because I can't remember any of the titles.
How's it go? Because I could probably tell you.
It's like the title track one. It's the one that it's F&M, but it's the Frau and Man.
Frau and Man.
You know,
great music video.
Yeah, great music video.
Yeah.
But like that main like keyboard melody in there, it sounds like a Hypocrisy song. Like it sounds like something from Arrival or Catch 22, and I'm like, this is so sick. But Till's on it, and it's like a rock song. It's so good, and he's got like, and you can even hear it in those like. I just listened to that new Hypocrisy has dropped 2 singles, I think, for the new record, but it fits totally in line with this type of songwriting, and I love it because it's like, yeah, Peter Tägtgren is like Hypocrisy is one of his bands, and that they're like one of the OG melodic death metal bands. They, in my eyes, they were one of the first bands to like do that shit, especially back in Sweden or is he Finnish or Swedish? I can't remember if he's Finnish or Swedish. Not sure. He's one or the other, but like. You know, and then you see In Flames and Soilwork pop off and all these bands kind of taking this, you know, really melodic European sound and injecting it into their death metal. So hearing this, it's almost just like, oh yeah, it
makes sense.
Yeah, it connects, but it's just so much fun. Like, and it just solidifies. I'm like, yeah, this guy is still killing it. Like Peter's still fucking killing it for all these years. Yeah. Yeah. It's so awesome to see that. Like he, and even like, I remember first just like finding out Lindemann was a thing on their first record and being like, wait a minute, why the fuck is the guy from Hypocrisy like with Till Lindemann?
It's
like,
definitely a weird combination, and I'm curious as to what the genesis was of like these two coming together.
Same. You
know?
I would love for them to talk.
They're from like 2 different worlds,
completely,
like, you know?
Almost. I mean, granted, they're both heavy, but like,
right. But it's just like total different kinds of heavy.
Hypocrisy is not doing. They're playing Reggie's when they come to Chicago. You know what I mean? Like I think they did play Reggie's on the last 2. No, the last American tour they played Bottom Lounge, but before that they did Reggie's twice. I remember they played here on, it was either Thanksgiving or an Easter one year when I was in high school. It was like 2010. It was Hypocrisy.
Destruction on it?
No, it wasn't Destruction. It was Scar Symmetry. It was this Polish death metal band called Hate. I want to say Neuraxis might have been on it and somebody else, but it was an Hypocrisy headliner and I missed it. I've never seen Hypocrisy, but like
I kind of want to see them now.
I'm dying to see them if they.
I just want to see any project that Peter Tackern does. I need to see it.
I talked about it. I've seen Hypocrisy a couple times, maybe a few. But the one thing I was thinking this whole time is, imagine if this band was billed as this, like more like Peter was part of the band as opposed to just calling it Lindemann.
That's another weird thing of it that I don't quite understand why. Like, granted, Lindemann definitely has the bigger name as far as like notoriety goes. But it's just weird that the project is called Lindemann.
And then also, what if they build him as almost like the Odd Couple, where it was, just.
I mean, that's how the videos come.
The videos are so
like the name is something where I wonder if they left something on the table by just not calling it a band name and just being the side project of a thing or whatever. Mm. But Lindemann is cool. It just doesn't roll off the tongue like a Danzig.
No,
not quite. Yeah.
And also, I don't know if they do shows in Europe. They definitely have not toured the States.
They do shows, right?
They definitely do shows. There's a phenomenal, like I can't get it now. Like it's like out of print or whatever, the DVD or Blu-ray
of Lindemann.
And you can go on YouTube. The whole thing's there, and it's phenomenal live show.
That's
like
awesome.
It's so fucking good.
Is that the one where they're all wearing white?
Yeah,
and shit? Yeah. I've seen clips of that.
It's so good,
yeah,
man. They crush it live, and Peter's son is on drums.
Yeah,
it's so good. They're so I don't think it's ever came to the States though.
I don't think so either. Yeah,
I think it's solely over there.
You know that there's so many young kids that are entering that age where they could go on tour, where they're in their 20s, they play a few instruments, and the dads are working them into their bands. John Fogerty was the first I saw him a few years back, and his son plays guitar in his band. He's good, but also you realize that they're on that coattail. Corey Taylor's son is now in a band with Clown's son, and they're actually coming through Beat Kitchen
with Omerta, which is very interesting.
And then Max's son is in Soulfly now. And what sucks is this, man, which is I'll tell all the kids up there listening whose dads are in big bands, unless you're going to do your own shit, you're not going to be better than your dad at his respective genre. So it's like Jacob Dylan. Jacob Dylan was the singer in the Wallflowers and the main songwriter. He's Bob Dylan's son.
Yeah.
And he could have done Bob Dylan as folk shit, but he goes, no, I'm going to do like pop rock songs. And he was in one of the biggest bands in the world at one point, separate from his father. No one could ever take that away from him. So it's hard when you want to do the heavy metal thing because that's what your dad did, but you're going to be on that coattail. And
just be ready.
Be fucking ready. I mean, like, there was never going to be anything that eclipses Slipknot, period.
That's tough.
They're going to be the biggest metal band of this. No one's going to be able to beat them for this next generation coming up.
Not until they're done.
Yeah. I mean, even still, I mean, I don't know. They're trying to push Ghosts as like a next Slipknot level thing. They're doing an arena tour coming up.
Yeah, with Volbeat. I just saw that. That's so wild.
Ghosts have songs and theatrics, but they are not a band for the most part. It's one dude kind of doing his thing. He reminds me, even though it's called Ghosts, it reminds me of like a Danzig, where it's all like his backing band and him. And that's what Slipknot's different. They all have personalities. There's 9 of them in theory. Obviously members have died and they've got new people in, but you can't recreate that shit. And then also we've talked about Slipknot so much on the show, and they're a pivotal new metal band. It has to do with the fact that they're from Anytown, USA of Iowa. They're not from fucking LA. They're not from New York.
Right.
And that's where new metal grew from the suburbs. It grew from the weird pockets of the United States, and not, if you wanted to be in a big band in the 80s, you had to move to LA and do it. Metallica were from the West Coast. Anthrax from New York City. These weren't cool areas these bands were coming out from. And even if you're on the West Coast, if you were Korn and you came out of Bakersfield, California, Bakersfield is a deserted area compared to the big California cities.
It really is. I've been to Bakersfield. I stayed, Zenith, I don't know if he still lives there, but Greg from Zenith Passage lives in Bakersfield, and he let us crash with him once on tour. And all of us kept talking about like Korn being from there. And I'm like, yeah, it just looks like another suburb of California we've driven through. Right. Like you would never recognize it from another one. You know what I mean? Like there's a Del Taco. But I just noticed it because I'm from the Midwest. So.
Or like, have you ever been through Jacksonville? That's where Limp Bizkit's from. And Jacksonville is like the 6th best city in Florida, and it's still a major city. And it just goes from there. Everyone just came from these weird pockets, and Slipknot being able to rise that level is probably because of them being from Iowa.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, the credibility.
That's one of the cool things about that band.
Hell yeah. Yeah, but anyway, on this Lindemann album, like, I just think it's so much fun that like the videos. First off, like the videos are so fucking good. They're incredible.
I can't
like,
recommend them enough.
Yeah, they're incredible music videos, and like what they put into this band, it seems like it's so much. You know what I mean? Like they really did put a lot into it.
A lot of production involved with this band, which
it's just so crazy to see. And that now they're not doing it anymore, I guess. Or are they?
Peter Takrin has since left Lindemann.
Okay, he quit? Is that how it went? Okay.
For whatever reason, I don't know why. I'm kind of bummed about that, but whatever.
Okay.
The guy's got plenty of other awesome projects.
Well, he's doing the hypocrisy thing now, but I guarantee you it still won't be.
He's probably producing other bands or whatever.
Yeah, and he's always going to be working that for sure. And then allegedly he is doing a project with his son. There's something going on there.
Okay.
That's going to be coming out.
That's cool.
And then Till Lindemann, the solo project.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know who's involved with it, but they did release the one single,
where he's in the school, right?
Yeah, which I think is fucking awesome. That song is so good. I want to hear more from this album.
I don't like the version as much on this album, but that song Mathematic, there's a version of it with some guest Russian rapper dude on it, and like that version of it with the beat is so. In the music video, it's like. I love that song, dude. I
gotta check that out. I've heard that song. I just haven't heard the Russian rap version.
It's sick. It's got a different beat that's a lot harder and scarier in my opinion. And the music video is just like all these old dudes just like going for it. And then Till Lindemann like fucks himself dressed as a woman. It's so fucking good. It's so good. But that song is so like German sex dungeon like. Trap beat theme. It's so fucking good. And it's like, you have no clue what they're talking about, but it's just like the mood that song creates. I'm just like, ooh, this is a good one. It's just so hard and like pissed sounding, but it's just like also very scary because I don't understand what he's saying. And he's a very like intimidating looking guy. Like,
like
just like his like build and his persona. And it's just like, man,
he looks like he's like 8 feet tall and like 500 pounds and just smashing into the ground.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly. So like hearing like what, like I do like the version on this album. I like the other one more, but like that song is so fucking sick, dude. And that video is so good that it's just like, what more do you want? Like, and then all this shit that's on like 10, you know what I mean? Everything's on 10. The music's on 10. The videos are on 10. Like,
the videos are also visceral. And
like, and then part of me is like, where does this guy have the time to do all this shit? And Rammstein on top of it. Well, I guess,
dude, for real.
How often are they putting out records though?
Pretty consistently?
For a big band, yes, pretty consistently, because some bands take off. Guns N' Roses, I just saw them live at Wrigley Field. They haven't come out with their new record in fucking Chinese Democracy, which was 15 years ago.
Are they gonna do another album?
They came out with some new tracks recently, but it's not a record.
I heard that one psychedelic sounding song or whatever it was called. Do you know what
there's one called Hard School, which is I thought really good, and there's one before that called fucking Absurd.
That's the one I'm thinking
And Absurd is not a good song.
I like Absurd. That's really funny that you say that. I didn't like the other one. I was like, oh, this sounds like Guns N' Roses shit. I'm not a big GNR fan. I'm not a big GNR fan, but I liked Absurd because I was like, this is the first song they're coming out with. It doesn't even sound like Axl Rose on it. Like he sounds so, except he does that like, scream.
That song, his vocals don't sound like it, and Hard School, they sound more like it. Nate said to me recently, he goes, did you like that song Hard School? I go, I fucking loved it. He goes, no, it just showcased Axl sounding like shit now. And I'm like, his vocals actually sound pretty fucking awesome, but I mean, you know, whatever. He went super hard back in the day on his vocals, on records, and they sounded so good. But I'm cool with them putting out new music gradually. Everyone knows what's going on, which is we all have conversations about it on our own time. But the concept of records maybe stopping to exist and more going the single direction, because it sucks when I was talking with with some people at Reggie's recently, and I was saying it was frustrating. It's frustrating when you have a banging track on track 7 of your LP that gets overlooked because people are so focused on tracks 1 through 4 that if you release track 7 as a single that came out on Thanksgiving weekend or whatever, when everyone's just driving around shopping, it would get all the necessary plays and then it'd become a household hit, at least for your band. And then you could do shows off it and be like, this is our new single, check it out. And you don't have to worry about the elaborate pressing of it or fucking writing 10 songs around it so you have a full length. Might go that way because it's just what's the drawback? People aren't listening to full length records like they used to. I still do. I love listening to a record start to finish, and it means a lot when a band comes out with a consistent record start to finish. To me, at least.
Same.
So, but I think if the new generation is kind of like so like you see it on Netflix where it's like these new shows come out and you're like, I'm watching this show called Sorry to Bother You or whatever that show is called, the comedic show. Pete Grossman recommended it to me.
Walk on the Way Out or something like that, or
you should leave.
I think you should leave.
I think you should leave. I think you should leave.
Is that it?
Yes.
Yeah.
The episodes are like 11 minutes long, and it's because people are so
ADD.
Give it to me.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because each episode is very like.
So it's just, so that's what it is, which is release a single. Everyone will be able to listen to it. And if you don't have time for a fucking 3.5 minute song, you're a creep. You're not even a fan of music or a band. And then you should even listen to songs. If you know the people making it, listen to it, because maybe you'll pick something up from the way they recorded, the mistakes they made, the things that they nailed, and you could fucking get bits and pieces for it. But just listen to the fucking shit. That's all I'm getting at. But yeah, maybe that's going out the window. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's very interesting because like the way you're describing it, I mean, that's like what Veil of Maya does now. Like they've been putting out singles for like the last 2 years.
Something just popped up. They just
a new single. Yeah.
And
then of course it came out while they're on tour with Dance Gavin Dance, and then videos from the said tour on Dance Gavin Dance.
Oh, really?
Somebody must have shot it and like
just
edited
all
it.
together real quick.
Just threw it on the internet during the tour, which is an okay song, and like
I haven't checked
a
it
lot
out.
of guys are, a lot of people are moving in that direction, which is kind of, it's kind of exciting, but it's also kind of a bummer. I guess it depends on like how you like to listen to your music. Like I'm with you. I like albums. I'm an album guy. Like I prefer an album. I prefer things to be presented to me like in the context of an album.
I think that is becoming a rare breed.
It is. It really is. Like
it's a bummer. I think
which is insane.
Given our age and everything, it's like, that's how we were presenting music. And that's, if it were up to me, that's how it's always going to be presented. Like I like that.
Exactly. Because then you're getting everything out. And then it's like, I feel like those songs that you intend to be the standout tracks, or maybe you have something that has a little bit of a different intent. I feel like it could shine better on a record where.
Yeah, because there always has to be tracks that are 6, 7, 9.
Yeah.
Like those later tracks, the B-sides, if you will, which is the side B
of the record.
Bill and I are recording, our band's recording a record right now, and what's happening is we could have done a thing where we could have canned 2 songs and then released one, like whatever, a couple months ago, be on our second release, and had our next year and a half planned of releases, and just been like this, just keep dropping them.
Yep.
And everyone been like, all right, cool, and they would all get a bunch of plays. As opposed to what we are going with the full length route, which believe me, there's still something to hang your hat on that. I love being presented like an LP, or like this is a full length. You're supposed to listen to it start to finish. And if you don't have the attention span to listen to a 30-minute record, then you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah,
I have no, and especially if it's around a shorter like length, it's just like, come on, dude.
Yeah, how can you not give that the time at least once? You know. And if you're spending your money on it, why wouldn't you? You know what I mean?
Well, that's another thing too. Is a lot of people don't spend money on records.
Yeah, that is
Spotify, YouTube. Ripping it for free,
Apple Music,
fucking Bandcamp, donation based. I don't want a physical copy, whatever.
Yeah, I get that is. It's wild, man. This world we're fucking living in. It's fucking nuts, dude. Well, that band Spirit Box, they did the same thing. They released so many singles for the first couple of years of their band, and then their album just came out. And with a lot of those songs already on.
Yeah, I was so surprised.
Is it the same recordings of those songs?
I don't know. I haven't listened to the Spirit Box album, so I think it is, but I don't know for sure.
Well, obviously, and it's we could segue into Biscuit maybe in a bit, but when it comes down to it, I didn't see Spirit Box, but they opened up that Limp Bizkit show that Nate and I went to at the beginning of the summer. And I don't know if we addressed that last time I was on the show, but I did see Limp Bizkit in the middle of the summer.
Yeah.
And it was great. And Limp Bizkit just did a thing where they released a new track called Dad Vibes.
Yeah.
And that is essentially a single, which may be coming out on a new LP. I don't know.
They're saying it is.
Okay.
That's what I've seen in press releases, is that's the plan.
Great song. I thought it was super dope. But they're getting a lot of mileage out of that one song, and it's not like when Nookie was released a million years ago, and it was in conjunction with a record that was coming out a full length 2 weeks later that you're about to digest in full for the next 3 years.
Yeah. Wow. Was that was that the first single for that album?
Nookie?
Yeah.
For a significant other, yeah.
And then it was 2 weeks in advance?
Yeah, I think it was like 2 weeks later than the record came out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I thought there would be a much longer promo cycle.
No, because they did a thing on MTV called Making the Video.
Okay.
Which was a short-lived show where they showed you making the music video. And that was a big deal, music video, because it was done like guerrilla style, which is basically they showed up in a parking lot alley and just told all their fucking fans to roll through, and then they shot it, and then they played the song a few times or whatever. And then they got a video that ends with Fred Durst getting taken away in handcuffs, which is probably fake. Because he's violating, civil law and, erecting a concert in a street.
Yeah. And they're just going to take him away, nobody else. So,
but either way, he's
the front man.
Yeah.
It's his fault.
That's so funny. Yeah.
That's why if we ever get in trouble on the road, I'm just throwing Eddie under the bus. And then it's just me and Gabe.
Yeah. So funny.
We got bail money. It's fine.
Yeah, dude.
Our drummer, Gabe, knows that I don't talk kindly to police officers. Like when they pull me over, I start yelling at them. He goes,
I've done that.
He goes, if I ever get pulled over with you, he goes, I'm going to say before you begin your speech to the cop, he does not represent anything I'm saying. He represents himself and only
solely
himself.
Represents himself. He has no.
I fucking punched the steering wheel in front of a cop, my own steering wheel, and I fucking broke my horn. This was like 5 years ago. I fucking jacked it because I was so pissed off at him. I just go boom, and then you heard the horn die.
Wow, what car? That car you're driving?
No, it's my other car. It's just my shitty car.
Yeah.
So it was a brutal. He busted.
Proposition. Fuck.
What did he bust you for? Were you going 5 over?
He busted me for pulling out of my parking spot without my seatbelt on.
Okay.
And I go, dude, I'm putting it on. I just let you got to put it on before you think. And I fucking I was so pissed off. And then what happened was,
did he write you the ticket?
Yeah, he wrote me the ticket, and he gave me a maximum fine, which was for a seatbelt violation was for about $180. And then I texted my friend who's an Evanston police officer. I go, what the fuck's going on with this? He goes, he gave you the maximum fine. He goes, you must have really pissed him off.
Yeah.
And I go, yeah. And he goes, all right, so here's the deal. And I'm not narking on him, no pun intended, because he's a police officer. But he goes, hey, if you come down to the station today, he's like, I'm going to change it in the system to be a normal fine of like $50. If you come and pay it before he finds it, you'll be good. I go, I'm headed down there right now. I paid it with some old lady, $50.
Nice.
So I got like a reprieve a little bit, but I'm not going to be able to get rid of this ticket because you were an idiot driving without a seatbelt. And you fucking punched the steering wheel.
$50 as opposed to $180.
Yeah, $180. Yep.
Yeah, so you're saving. You're paying a third, less than a third. Yeah. Jesus Christ, man. Huh?
Math is not that hard.
Fuck the police.
130. Oh yeah.
Saving.
Well, that's what you're saving. 130. It's hard enough for me, man.
It clearly
Yeah,
is.
it's hard enough for me. That's wild though, man. That's sick. I wish Danny could do that for me sometime. Maybe I'll hit him up. Be like, I got a ticket. Can you help me? No. Yeah. Fuck, man. That's wild. That's such a bullshit ticket though. I would have been that pissed too.
I know. I think that people
Was
were
he
like
just waiting for you?
He was not waiting for me. It's just that he happened to be right behind me when I pulled out.
Dude.
And hey, man, it's cool. But people kind of said to me, dude, you just don't want to, in this current climate, snap in front of a police officer. Because the next thing that's fucking happening is they're drawing a fucking gun on you. And then who knows what fucking could happen.
Yeah.
So if I ever die, please martyr me. But it's just, dude, the police in Evanston, they're not brutal. It's just that they have demographics that they look for. We have a very high rich population in Evanston.
Of course, yeah.
And they don't want to fuck with them.
Nope.
So
sure
when they see people like Nate or who gets mentioned every 30 seconds on the show,
This kid is.
Yeah.
He's
like a
like
fucking
ain't got a lawyer. Like,
yeah, he is. Yeah, but when they see people who are like easier pickings, they fuck with you because they can't fuck with someone who's got a mansion or maybe has press ties or something. Aaron's gonna get them fucking fired.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very like real Batman in real life, but like it's in Evanston, and it's just a lot of rich people.
Fucking hilarious.
Yeah, man. Me and Sam, my girlfriend, we took a cruise yesterday down Sheridan Road, like because it was so beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful down there.
Yeah, we went all the way. We ended up accidentally driving all the way to Highwood.
Yeah, I love Highwood.
Yeah, but it was like there was some fest going on or a fair this weekend, but it was just like I didn't see a single cop on Sheridan at all anywhere. And all I just saw were like, it was so funny because you drive down and obviously the houses just get bigger and more grandiose. And then it's like, you then start to notice that even the people walking their dogs, I'm like, oh, every dog is like a purebred poodle around here.
Like
or like
nice
every dog
dog,
is like a fucking show looking dog. Yeah. And I'm like, fuck, this is wild. But it's still fun to drive through there smoking weed in public.
Oh yeah.
I love the area, but the police could again they do target.
Yeah,
just to.
I'm sure I would
justify.
Be a target.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm a total disruptor of the area. I'm actually the loudest person in Evanston, and it's just. And also, I'm always the one. If I go out to bars there, I'm always the one. I'm not at a bar in Evanston unless it's closing down because they close so early that literally I'm the last person in every bar when I go out. And it's because they don't want any late night bar riffraff, so they're all wrapping up at 11 p.m. basically every night.
In Evanston, right? That's like cut off.
Well, it's not cut off. It's just that they don't want to stay open late because they don't want bar riffraff.
Yeah.
They don't want any bullshit. Like they're like, take that to Rogers Park or something like that if you want that. They're like, not around here. They want it early to bed, early to rise type.
Yeah.
So they tried doing
Evanston is so based on the college and shit. And
oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, they tried pulling that shit in Forest Park and it didn't fly. We're back to 1 a.m., 2 a.m. bars again.
Oh yeah. How long did that last? Was that for the pandemic though?
6 months. I don't know. It was very weird. It's all the politics of Forest Park are interesting because it's rooted in like a little bit of racism because it's a lot of old white people in there.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah, and I've seen it growing
You're
up.
right next to Maywood, which does not have a lot of white people in it.
And like I grew up with like people from all walks of life, and I've definitely seen how people are treated that aren't white in that town sometimes, and businesses that aren't owned by white people tend to get shit on a lot. And yeah, it was just weird. It was a weird time where they were trying to fight all the bars and try and find whatever excuses they could to just like bring the time down more and more and more. And I was like, what the fuck? And then eventually, I don't know what happened, but it got flipped around and now it's back to normal.
Huh.
Mainly because I think they got rid of one of the bars that was owned by two brothers of color that I don't think they liked too much.
That's great.
Granted, they did do some like dumb shit with the bar and like
what bar was it?
It's what was Healy's, but now it's like the Forest Park Tap Room.
Oh, they changed it.
Yeah,
now?
they got in trouble with like being open too late a couple of times, and then a lot of rowdy motherfuckers coming out of there that they just didn't take care of because they're so understaffed.
Forest Park Tap Room?
I went once. It was pretty shitty. It was like a Latin night and it was just blaring Latin music. And I was like, okay. And there was like 4 people in there. Like, what are we doing? Like,
I want to go for Lindemann night, man.
But it's closed now.
Latin night, Lindemann night.
Yeah, dude.
That's your night. Bill, like,
if we could have a Lindemann night,
I would go for that. If somebody played that album front to back in a bar, I would go.
Oh, I would.
That would be enough for me to go.
Be in.
Yeah.
I mean, we could probably do that technically using the box
Touch Tunes if they got it on there. Yeah,
you can upload stuff.
Really?
Yeah,
to Touch Tunes.
Yeah,
really.
I uploaded Within the Ruins to like the one at Short.
You upload your own songs?
Yeah, it was awesome. I was like, "This is the best," and then like, people were like, "This is not the best."
What Within the Ruins song did you play?
I don't even remember. But it was awesome to hear for. I think it was about a minute until John was like, "Fuck that," and I was like, "God damn it!"
Yeah, fucking ass.
Yeah, he's good for that. I don't know if we were just talking about that guy recently. Fuck
John?
That guy. This guy, John, I forgot his last name, but he was a bartender forever at Shortstops.
I don't think I know him.
And from what I heard, I think he's also at a few other spots too, but yeah, fuck that guy.
Who does not like metal?
No, he does not.
Shit. Well.
So we'll have to have a Lindemann night somewhere.
Yeah.
There was a great Howard Stern story, which is Richard Christie from who was in Death. He grew up in Kansas, and there was a pizza Hut that all of him and his high school friends used to hang out in. There was a band called Nitro. Remember that band?
Yeah, I do vaguely. I never.
Michelangelo Battio's band.
Oh
yes,
yeah,
gotcha.
And he's got the pussy guitar, man.
Sick
guitar with the 2 legs, the 2 pussy.
Oh, that's
legs.
right.
Oh, I know the 2
I think
neck,
he has that right.
I don't know.
The singer Jim Gillette has the highest, longest scream in metal. Basically.
Yeah.
And there's a song called, which is named after me, Machine Gun Eddie, not Machine Gun Kelly, and it starts off with Jim Gillette just laying into this long ass. It's like a minute long, and what him and his friends would do is go chill at a Pizza Hut all fucking evening, and just it was one of those CD jukeboxes like when they first come out. He would just play. They would just play it over and over, and they'd buy just credits and just play it, and then Pizza Hut, like the employees would fucking lose their mind
at this fucking long ass scream.
It's this long ass scream over and over again with families around.
It's like military torture, you know.
So funny.
Yeah, playing death metal.
Get you out of your cave.
And shit like that for people, like playing Behemoth for people.
Well, I told you at Shortstop, so I'd always throw on
Nile.
Yeah, which is great.
Cast Down the Heretic.
Cast Down the Heretic. Yeah, because it's got like a 1.5 minute long solo. That's awesome.
Yeah,
most of the time I wasn't even there.
Yeah, right.
Good old days.
I would have loved that.
I should still just do that randomly.
I would love to hear that at a bar. Last time I was doing shit like that at a bar was we went to. It was like me, Max, and Alex, and somebody, and Danny, and some other people went to this bar called Innertown Pub.
Yeah, I used to go there all the time.
And it's a cool spot.
Yeah, definitely.
And they have Touch Tunes there. And of course, like we were putting on like the Faceless and like all this metal stuff. And like a bunch of the patrons were really upset by it, but the bartenders thought it was cool. So they were like, yo, this is
then that's all that matters.
Yeah, so they would let us play it.
Fuck yeah.
Which was killer. And they were like, whoa, you guys like some cool music. And like they came, like a bunch of the like we were outside for a period of time. Then a couple of the bartenders like walked outside to hang out with us and just like shoot the shit. And we were talking about metal and stuff.
Fuck yeah.
And like, Yeah, I think one of them was feeling Max, and Danny ended up hooking up with some woman from like Britain that night or something. And like we kept,
let's hope his girlfriend's listening to this.
We kept driving around.
This is well before that.
We kept driving around because like Alex was pretty drunk, and I think I was driving. But, like we were driving around, and Danny was like making out with this girl in front of the bar, and Alex would like say things in a British accent, like "I've gone and shit myself." Like he said that a bunch. We just kept driving around the block to see if they were still there making out, and Alex would just say something different every time.
Oh, yeah.
It was really good.
Sets the mood.
Yeah, that was the last time I think I was at a bar that like I like had a Touch Tunes experience at. One time I did put a board on at Halakahiki, and they turned that off.
There's no way they'd let
They
that
had
fly.
Necrotic Manifesto there, so I bought like half the record to play it on Touch Tunes. I was there with like Eric. This was years ago, but like they turned it off like halfway through like the first song, and I was like, oh man.
Touch Tunes is fucking real dangerous because you could kind of play whatever you want.
Yeah. Oh, it's awesome.
And it's awesome. It is unless you're a bartender who knows how to skip over it, you could get fucking trapped. Where a bunch of metal dudes fucking hijacking the stereo.
Yeah, and there's like now I don't even know you could upload shit. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna upload demos and go to bars and play them for people and be like, what do you guys think?
I don't know if that works, but that would be sick.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I wouldn't. I don't know. Can you upload an MP3? Is that how it works?
I forgot what it was because like at the time I had a bunch of shit on my phone.
Okay. Oh, like music on, so you could play the music that was already on your phone.
Yeah.
Like
probably the bar or establishment has to enable that option.
Yeah. Well, like Shortstops is good for it because Marty didn't give a fuck. Like the bar owner's son.
Yeah.
And he was like a bit of a metalhead too, so he had stuff already on there.
The rule of thumb is if you're a patron at a bar and you're like ripping like beers or whatever and there's friends with you, you kind of play whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, like that's why like it kind of sucked when John would turn it off, but luckily at the time this other girl was working there, Sarah, who's a bit of a metalhead, and she'd always be like, I'm so sorry, like here's a drink or here's like some money back, like all the time, like thanks. You could just tell John to play the fucking song. How about that? Man. Like, jeez.
I want to hear Niall. I want to hear George Calais shred my ass to death in Shortstops.
I want to hear now it smells like puke and piss in this place. Like, come on.
Well, fellas, let me take you back to when I was like probably 6 or 7 years old. There was a movie coming out featuring Tom Cruise. I don't know if you've heard of it. A little something called Mission Impossible 2. You guys ever hear of that film?
Yes.
Rings bell.
One of the best of all time. And that movie had a soundtrack that was phenomenal, featuring a single called Take a Look Around by a little band called Limp Bizkit. This was Jason's first exposure to like heavy music, was like hearing that song. And the first time I heard it, I remember like looking at my mom and just saying like, I needed to know more about it. I needed to have it. I was like, what is it? It's so heavy sounding, but it's like also a rock song, but it's not. And it was just like,
it's all over the board.
It just like lit a fucking fire for me where I was like, holy fuck. But then, lo and behold, Limp Bizkit rose to fame of being, a very much a band that like kids shouldn't listen to and shit like that because of all, they had the parental advisory sticker. So my parents were not down. So I could only get the Mission Impossible 2 soundtrack. I couldn't get Chocolate Starfish in the hot dog flavored water because my parents saw at the time.
Not cool, guys.
Right. At the age of 6 or 7, however old I was, probably was not old enough to be listening to that CD. But, man, all these years later, I have such a weird trajectory with this album. It's so strange. Like I love it. I love it to death. I think it's such a sick fucking album. I think it's so much fun. I love the production. I love how it bumps. Like I remember having so many different parts in my life of arguing with myself. Should I like this or should I hate this? Like, what do I do? Do I like this? Do I hate it? Like, I liked it when I was a kid. Then when nu metal didn't become cool and I was a super death metal dude, like it wasn't cool to like a band like that. And then I remember I was dating an ex of mine, and we went to Reckless Records once and she bought a copy of Chocolate Starfish and the hot dog flavored water for like $2, right? It's
Reckless?
Yeah, it's a used CD. And at the time I was like, why would you buy that corny ass, dumbass bullshit? So we get in her car and she puts it on. We're driving back to my place and like she's got it super loud and the car is just like It's got like it's got that hip hop production,
right?
So it's like it's huge, and I'm like, man, this CD kind of fucking bumps. Like it's kind of sick, but being Obscura being my favorite band at the time, I couldn't admit that to anybody. I couldn't tell any of my friends. So in my head, I'm just like, no, you can't like it. You can't like it. So like, yeah, but now I'm 30 and it's fine. So like, yeah, I love this fucking album, and it's so fun to talk about it here today because I want to say it was probably like, while I never had it growing up, it was probably like the biggest impact nu metal had on me, other than like Slipknot. You know, this would probably be it. And I'm going to do that record next time. But it was the third Slipknot record that hooked me in, and then it was this album by Limp Bizkit that came out that got me in, because I didn't know much about Significant Other at the time. I hadn't even heard them at the time.
That was such a big album for me.
And like, by the time that this came out, they were everywhere. You know, and like you've said, they were everywhere. So it was like you couldn't avoid this band at this point. But it was just like, you know, I would listen to Q101 every day, just hoping to hear Take a Look Around or any other singles, because I loved everything they were doing. It was so sick. And like, listening to this album, like I recently bought a couple of Limp Bizkit CDs. I bought this album, and I bought Significant Other, and I even bought Golden Cobra, the last one they did, just because I wanted to hear it, because I never listened to it before. But it's like it's such a fucking cultural stamp, you know. And Limp Bizkit is like, they're like cool again now somehow. Like they've almost gone through this rebirth period where now they're like semi-relevant again, even
which
though
I'm all about.
Yeah,
I love it.
So it's just like, you know what?
I'm so happy that people are like embracing them again. I was like, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, right.
Like I watched the Lollapalooza set, too, and it's so fucking good.
Yeah, it is great, and they like, sound awesome.
They crushed it. That drummer crushed it.
That drummer is good. He's no John Otto, but he is
right. But that kid,
John Otto,
did really fucking well. Yeah.
He was in. Is he in horror?
I don't know. He does have like a significant background in music. I just don't remember who filled in. 99
Horror?
Yeah, you know that band Horror, but it's spelled the letters are like nines.
I don't think so.
They're on tour, I think, with Slipknot right now.
Oh, they are? I don't think I've ever heard them. Oh, Fever 333? I've heard of them.
Not them. But they that kid is sick at drums for sure. And also Otto has his own style, which is amazing. And actually, I think this is like John Otto's best record.
Yeah, I would say so. Because his drums sound so good.
I know, they sound so good, and they let him kind of take the reins with, obviously there's his legendary intro beat of My Generation. Bum ba ba bum bum ba. But like, that's just fucking sick. And this is obviously, when this record comes out, if you're putting yourself in the, I think it came out in like 2000. Nu metal is now splintering off. If you want the harder shit, you go the Slipknot route. If you want the more digestible rock shit, you're going this route.
Yeah,
like the Limp Bizkit thing. And then the lines are drawn in the sand.
Yeah,
like which nu metal fan are you willing or want to be?
Yeah,
and this is the most poppy nu metal record there's ever been, basically.
Yeah.
And there are so many hits off it. Actually, my Take a Look Around was the song they closed with at the Metro show they did.
Nice. That's awesome.
And
that's a cool song.
That was a monstrous single. Obviously, My Generation's huge. Rollin' is monstrous. Ben Stiller's in the video. My Way. There's
Boiler was a single.
Boiler.
They did a video for Boiler.
And Full Nelson was another, not a single, but that was on that
album.
was like that was a big song because they played that at the Metro show as well. And it sounds great. Yeah. And it's actually, Significant Other is a good record for sure. And $3 Bill is my favorite. This is their best record. And I got to give props to Limp Bizkit, because at this point, everything was kind of working against them to not make a good record, because everyone was just throwing money and popularity at them. And they were like hanging out at whatever Playboy Mansion and shit. And they had every excuse to make a piece of shit and fail.
Oh, yeah.
And they didn't. They made their most notable,
another giant success. Yeah.
And it's even if you don't like this record compared to the other ones, it's still their most noteworthy because of the hits off it. And the hits are what makes that band. I mean, that was half the set at that show at Metro was basically this record,
Really?
That makes sense.
I mean, they played like 6 or 7 songs off it. So it's just that, it's ridiculously a popular record. It sounds great.
Yeah.
And then after this, the band kind of started to splinter off. And I know right after I saw them on this tour, they lost Wes Borland on guitar after this record came out, obviously. And then they got Mike Smith from Snot in the band. But that's when the armor kind of started to chip away for this band. And then they kind of, what they did was, it's so shitty to say, but people are cool with shit coming out the back end now. And I used to hate this band with a passion. It was the most uncool thing ever for a minute. I grew up on this band, don't get me wrong, but now it's like the coolest thing in the world to be a Limp Bizkit fan again. And it just sucks. And I've talked about this up numerous times in podcasts. I never stopped being a fan of them. It's just that every time I would bring shit like that up, people would just, I mean, I don't want to say people would make fun of me, but they would
turn their nose at it.
Yeah, or like, oh, of course Gobo likes that band. And it's just like, yeah, you're going to be liking that band soon.
Well, that's
again.
the thing. It's like one of those pre-programmed bands for people to just not like it. It's like when you start a conversation about Metallica and somebody just wants to take a shot at Saint Anger. It's like, okay, how old is this now? Like,
yeah,
we're still doing this.
Yeah,
like, fuck.
I know exactly. I'm trying to think of a band for like the 70s it wasn't Kiss or whatever, but there were some bands in the 70s where everyone's just like, damn, that band is so terrible, but they still had great songs. Kind of like maybe the Bee Gees or something, where they were like,
I like the Bee Gees, but go on.
I know what I'm saying. Like, they were like the butt of every joke, where it was just like the worst music on the planet is the Bee Gees, but they have so many hits.
Yeah, they crushed.
But now they've come out and everyone's like, yeah, the Bee Gees were sick. It's like, yeah, they wrote good songs. That's hard to write fucking great songs. This is what it is, So, but they were like shit on constantly. And every era has those bands that are just persona non grata, but they still did great shit. Right. It's like, I mean, right now, if you're a fan of comedy, everyone always takes shit on Dice, Andrew Dice Clay, but maybe his shit doesn't hold up. But the bottom line is he sold out arenas during the height of what I consider the best era of comedy in the 80s. And, you have guys like Robin Williams doing stand up, and it goes from there. Richard Belzer, like all these guys that ended up spiraling into mainstream sort of film culture. Or TV, like Belzer was on fucking whatever Law and Order for years and all that shit. Yeah. And it's just like they all got jobs doing the Hollywood thing, but they all came from stand up. And it was sink or swim in a golden era. And Dice wasn't able to do that because maybe cameos here and there. But the bottom line is you couldn't base a film career off this dude because he was such a character on the front end that it was
very bombastic.
But a lot of these dudes were. I mean, Robin Williams had bombastic comedy, but he worked his way into Disney films.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Or an Oscar playing best supporting, or he won best supporting actor for Good Will Hunting. It's just like some bands get the green light to be like, we're cool with you being a staple for kind of the rest of our lives, and some were just no. And Limp Bizkit was no. Linkin Park never had an issue with every 10 years being in people's lives. It was always like, yeah, they're cool. And it's just like all they're doing is a more evolved, less boneheady version of Limp Bizkit, but that's enough. That's all you needed, which is everyone hated the fact that Limp Bizkit was so boneheady. And so, they had misogynistic undertones. I've heard way worse, but it wasn't pushing the fucking musical envelope in any way. It was just bonehead bullshit, and they hated their fans. The stereotypical Limp Bizkit fan from the burbs is a fucking idiot with a pickup truck or whatever. And they just started, which isn't true. I mean, because they have those fans, but so does Linkin Park. So does every big band. So does Puddle of Mud. And actually, Puddle of Mud is probably a band I'll be discussing somewhere on the line because their shit I'm starting to re-listen to, and I'm like, this band was fucking great. And right around this time is when Limp Bizkit's Fred Durst produced Puddle of Mud's first record.
Oh,
yeah, that's nuts. I didn't find out about that until recently that he did that album.
Yeah, and it's a label saying to him, hey, you obviously know what the fuck's going on. Do you want to try to get some bands kind of under your wing? And he's like, yeah, and Puddle of Mud was a huge success. And obviously everyone looks at that guy as a total douche, Wes Scantlin or whatever.
Yeah.
But he still is a great songwriter to what is. I mean, they have about 7 hits that are big, and they could still play a Burb show and crush it. That guy's reeled it in, like enough. And he's no more fucked up than the rest of these dudes that are on tour. It's just that when you're a guy that's a bassist, for example, and you just have to stand there and play bass, you don't have to be the guy that's talking to the crowd and being the most forefronted person, and there's a spotlight on you so you can see how fucked up you are every night, and then you're playing these weird clubs in the burbs, and everyone already, that's like a check like next to your name, like you can't play the city of Chicago anymore, you got to go out to the burbs, and it goes from there, dude. Yeah,
it sucks. That sucks that they can't. You know what I mean? Maybe they will one day before their career is done, but like That would suck to just be like, wow, I can't even play Chicago anymore.
They could probably play Chicago if they play the right club, like a Reggie's or something. It's just a matter of, I don't know. I have no fucking clue. I don't know why these bands just don't go to Chicago and be like, let's let it rip.
Yeah, I never understood that either. Like, it's weird. Like,
I think the Burbs just gives them more money.
I think so. I think there's more wiggle room to definitely get guarantees, like where they need to be. Because like one thing I always thought was weird, because I think the dudes in Nonpoint did a show in Chicago at one point, and it was like forever since they played in Chicago.
Was that Double Door, I think?
No, Soil did Double Door, and that was good. I want to say it was Bottom Lunch.
Oh, it was Bottom Lunch. It was Bottom Lunch.
And it did really well. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why can't you guys do that more often? Like, why the fuck do you have to play out in the deep ass burbs? Like, those kids will come out to Chicago. Like, yeah. I was like, it's weird.
Every time I see a band that is a suburb band playing the Chicago and it being successful, it's almost like at the end of their show, they're Snake Plissken and Escape from New York or LA, because it's like, we got to get out of here before someone gets pissed at us, because that was successful and we'll see you in 4 years, maybe.
George Costanza, like, just get
that's
in.
it.
That's it. I'll see you later.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what happens with those bands. It's just like you're either
it's like a big city thing that's weird, because we do move pretty fast with our musical taste, and
people
and it's hard to gauge like a band that's been in it for over 10 years. Like, how is it going to do? Like, if it's, if they're not the band, it's like they're a band, who knows, and obviously like in the suburbs, there's, I don't know. It's weird how that works in some of those places where it's like you call them the B, the C markets or whatever, and people eat that shit up still for, because they don't have the big city, so they can't. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a weird demographic.
I think money's looser out there, where if you're a person that says
there's more money to be pushed around.
We'll pay $5,000 for Puddle of Mud to come out here and rock our club, even though we'll probably lose money on the door. We'll still clean it up with beer. I think that Chicago bookers look at it like, how much are we getting through this fucking door? And we're not even taking into account how much liquor we're
they know that's not the important thing.
Not to mention, these clubs in the burbs are more built for people who are going to be what I consider like party drinkers, where they're binge drinking the whole night.
Yeah, it's a lot more Miller sales than IPA fancy schmancy sales like here. Yeah.
They're able to, for some reason, the way the clubs are kind of built, they almost are able to bounce around that club and be a drunken asshole, as opposed to like if you get too drunk at like Empty Bottle.
Oh, you're out.
You're out before you even.
Although that wasn't entirely true at our show. Yeah. But anyway.
Hi-yo. But literally, if you get too drunk at Empty Bottle, everyone on the staff knows about it then and there, and everyone at the show knows about it. Meanwhile, if you get drunk at the Fuel Room out in fucking whatever, Libertyville,
everyone's
like,
yeah, he's having a good time.
Yeah, exactly. As long as
he's still buying beer, so fuck it. Yeah. It's funny how that works.
Your ex-wife picking you up?
Sleeping in the drunk tank tonight. All right, way to go, Babby. Yeah.
The best is like when people are relying on their ex-wives for rides or shit, and which happens all the time.
Dude, you guys like that we have two different versions of Rollin' on this album?
Rollin' Radio Assault Mix or whatever.
Yeah, it's Aerial Assault Vehicle.
And Urban Assault Vehicle was the one you picked.
Yeah, the one with DMX.
Which I don't think is the best representation of this album.
But I just wanted to... I should have picked Boiler, more I think about it.
That's far and away my favorite Biscuit song.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah. It's probably mine too, honestly. Like, the chorus is great. John Otto, like, playing on the snare on the 3 is so sick. And, like... Yeah, it's such a fucking good song. But I do like the fact that it's like, first off, why are we calling these songs like, here, what is it? Yeah, Rollin', hold on.
Like Air Raid? No.
Yeah, Rollin' Urban Assault Vehicle, and then where's the other one? Rollin' Air Raid Vehicle.
Which is where, fun fact, Chicago's Air Raid got their name. No, that's not true.
Yeah,
that Joe Paul.
I wonder why they
got it either from there or Dazed and Confused.
Yeah.
What's the reference in Dazed and Confused?
Remember, they're hazing the incoming high school girls, and then Parker Poe keeps yelling air raid.
They have to hit the ground. Yeah.
Yeah. So the version I chose is the one with DMX and Method Man on it, which is pretty funny. But like,
not my favorite track, but
no, it's not the best song on it, and there's no like real instruments on it. It's just a beat with like,
well, it's like a imitation of like the guitar riff.
And the fucking DMX barking at you at the beginning, which is sick. But yeah, it's very aggro, and like, the more I think about it because we all know about that documentary that came out, the Woodstock 99 shit. Did Methods of Mayhem play Woodstock 99?
Good question. I don't think they
so.
did.
Yeah, they would have been perfect on that.
Yeah.
I feel like they would have fit in with that bill.
They would have. And actually,
they would have pissed off Moby too.
Hell yeah.
I would say this, which is, if you look at the lineup of Woodstock 99, the bands were all legit as fuck. Like, there wasn't anyone that's like kind of slipped through the cracks.
Yeah.
Like, even if you, like, Seven Dust was on it, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
And like, that's a legendary band at this point.
There's a great live video of them playing from it.
Yeah.
And they were like an undercard band, or ICP like played early on in the day. Like, they're legends. You know, it's just shit like that. So, and then obviously you have the bigger bands like Korn or Rage or Creed.
Yeah.
Like, those were huge, huge bands at the time. Kid Rock with the legendary, the iconic, coming out in the white fur coat.
Yeah. Nuts.
My old band, Jarred Loose, and I wouldn't say we talked about it because I immediately got shot down, was we did a Halloween show as White Zombie.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was talk of us doing it the following year as a different band. And I said, we got to do Kid Rock. And I'll come out in the white fur coat and throw it off, and we'll like get a midget.
Oh, that would have been so great.
We'll get a midget for the night.
Yeah.
And like they go,
do we know any little people?
No, and then
know anybody?
I'm like, he just has to put on like a starter jacket and just kind of do like this whole thing. People will get it. I go, this will be fucking
yeah.
insane.
No, the imagery is so easy to pull off. No.
Okay.
That was it was Joe.
Sorry.
It was Joe C, dude.
Okay,
Joe C is
there we go.
Yeah, from Taylor.
Yeah.
Taylor is a suburb. Taylor is a suburb of Detroit with like some trail. It's probably evolved now, but there was some it was like a trailer park town.
Oh yeah. Damn, yeah, this guy looks terrifying.
Yeah, Joe C, dude.
Yeah, dude. Nuts. Joe C.
I think he was a good like
rapper?
6 inches taller than Vern Troyer.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he raps on a couple. I saw Joe C live with Kid Rock a couple times, and it was just him going around and being like a hype man, like Flavor Flav.
Yeah.
And he had his verse, which is on this. Maybe maybe this is a little hint, but on Devil Without a Cause, that song, he's on it, and he does a huge rap on that.
Yeah,
Joe C does, and it's great.
Oh, Joe C's dead.
Yeah, he's dead.
Yeah, he died a while ago now.
R.I.P. Joe C.
Yep.
Did he ever do his own thing musically or no?
Nope.
Okay. Well,
that band, that Kid Rock band is fucking phenomenal. And whether it's Joe C or obviously the biggest one is Uncle Cracker, who's a monstrous fucking
Uncle Cracker
dude right
Still
now.
going, right?
Yeah, I think so. He was
those huge songs.
Yeah.
He was in Kid Rock's band, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he was.
Okay.
He was the DJ. He's still he's still the DJ. He's still in the band. And then also his big song right now is fucking the remake of "Give Me the Beat, Boys, and Free My Soul." I wanna get on the radio like
you rock and roll. Yeah,
it's on like light rock station all around all fucking day long. It's a great song.
The Uncle Cracker version. Yep. Is it a cover? Does he sing?
Yeah, because that's originally I think a song by Marshall Tucker Band. I want to say.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uncle.
Or it's definitely from that era.
So, and also, I love the fact that, like, instead of a giant jam at the end of this new metal record, they do Boiler, and then they do that hidden track with Ben Stiller on it.
It sounds like he's ripped out of his mind.
Yeah, he does sound very ripped out of his
funny.
mind.
That was Stiller about to go on a hot streak because he was about to do Zoolander.
I know.
And then the rest was fucking
It was right before he skyrocketed.
Was he friends with them?
I mean, who wasn't? Because Biscuit was so fucking big.
They had a bunch of random ass friends, and apparently you would see random shit where Britney Spears was hanging out with them for a second, and it was just Wasn't there some controversy with Christina Aguilera? Yeah, like, he even says her by name. He apparently banged both of them or whatever,
allegedly,
which is a total lie.
But Durst,
yeah. We'll never know. But they'll hang out with like Carson Daly, and then like Manson will swing by, and it was just anyone that was, or Pauly Shore.
Oh yeah,
who's in the video for Break Stuff, obviously. There was a funny thing. They played it at the Metro, but the first song on this record, Hot Dog, the first real song.
Hell yeah.
I worked for this company called Threadless, which was a t-shirt company for a long time.
I remember Threadless.
That's how I cut my teeth. I print t-shirts for people who don't know, but when it comes down to it, that's how I cut my teeth.
A thing?
They are. It's they only do like direct printing right now, which looks and feels like shit. It's like laser printing.
Yeah,
the worst.
Yeah. Direct to garment.
Direct to garment. It's horrible, and it feels horrible, and anyone should run away from it. But when it comes down to it, back when they printed actual t-shirts, I would always play this song over the stereo, and I would always play it as the last song of like before the weekend began. All right.
Hell yeah.
Now
get the higher energy going.
What happened was this though, this was part of my scheme, which worked like a fucking charm. Obviously, our weekend would start at 5 p.m. on Friday. So at 4:55, I would play it. Everyone got used to it. And then what would happen was one Friday I said I played it at like 3:20, which is like a weird time. And everyone's like, yes.
They're like, all right, we're about to go home.
And fuck. And then I started moving it up further and further, like 1 p.m. And people were getting so confused because there was a bunch of temps that would work there and it would like the joke would be on them. And then I would play it over and over again. Like I would just start using, and then finally, and that song's pretty fucking raunchy.
Oh hell yeah!
And this is like right as like
fuck 146 times right in the line.
And then people brought me aside and they're like, "We're trying to instill safe culture in here." This is like the first wave of it, so like you can't really be playing the song. Listen to it on your headphones or listen to it in your fucking car. Limp Bizkit
do this on your own time if you can.
Yeah. So funny. But that was my trick. My trick about moving it up was amazing.
That's so fucking funny.
Yeah, but I love that song. And
it's a good one.
It was funny because Nate was talking to me recently and he goes, "Do you hear that new Limp Bizkit song?" I go, "Yeah." He goes,
he is I believe a converted Bizkit fan now after that show.
Yeah, he's a born again Biscuiter.
Oh, thank you.
But what happened was this, which he goes, "Hey, you heard that song? You like it?" I go, "Yeah, I fucking think it's a jam." Blah, blah, blah. And he goes, "Do you even hear any guitar in it?" And I go, "Come to think of it, not really. Maybe there's like a track on it, but it's more like a beat or whatever."
Yeah.
And then he summed it up. He goes, "Dude, Wes Borland's an amazing fucking guitarist. So if you're not using him after your first track in like fucking a decade, then what the fuck's
going on?"
No, I thought the same thing. I mean, that's my honest thought about Dad Vibes. Like, I don't hate the song. I don't love it, but like,
I'm not totally sold on it yet.
It doesn't have that heavy vibe like of the other songs. It just sounds like they're getting old. And it just sounds like Fred Durst wanted to just write a song called Dad Vibes and put it out, which is cool. But yeah, it doesn't sound like that aggro shit, that you expect from him.
I mean, we'll see.
But they were kind of doing this on Gold Cobra, though, like this style, like that's dialed back guitar. Have you guys listened to that record?
Yeah. There was a song called, the big song off that record is called Shotgun.
Yeah.
Which is a more Bizkit sounding song, which was the track I liked most from
there are a couple songs, though, that are a lot like this or that remind me of this, where it's just more just like a beat and like
and I wasn't really sold on it.
But that is true. It's like, why would you not do that for your first single back from that? But like, who the fuck knows? They're just doing whatever the fuck they want at this point.
At that point, it's like they don't give a fuck.
They're
going to do whatever they're going to do.
What they put out next.
I don't think they're being as meticulous as they need to be with it. They're pretty set in their careers.
And honestly, it's like, our new Limp Bizkit record's gonna sell. Did Go Cobra do that great? Like, it's like they're not that kind of band that needs to put out a record to make money. You know what I mean? Like, they don't need to do it.
No,
they're probably just doing it because they want to.
Yeah. And at this point, it's like if they need money, they just book a show and they'll fucking make. No matter where they're at, they're gonna make money. So yeah, as far as new material goes, they can do whatever they want.
There's no place to go for Limp Bizkit other than doing a Family Values like reunion tour, which would be monstrous.
Huge
and
if they did that.
Even if they do like a Family Values all-star tour, so basically you're taking all the Family Values lines. It only lasted for about 4 years or so, and you're picking the best bands from it. Now, you can't get Rammstein did play a Family Values. You can't get them
way too big.
Way too big. But like,
although if it were to be pulled off, it would be the most amazing thing ever. Can you imagine that? Like Bizkit, Rammstein, Korn. I don't know who. Like what some other.
Stained was one.
Stained was one. Incubus was one.
Filter, I know, played. Crystal Method is still kind of.
Didn't Atreyu do one? Way down the line, I thought.
Ooh, I don't.
SCP did one.
Yeah, I remember that. I'm gonna see STP.
I know, which is fucking awesome.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
On that tour.
On that tour.
For that again?
Thursday.
Okay, and then you're back.
The following Friday.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Alrighty. Oh, that's perfect because I'm. Okay, I think I'm going to Jace's this weekend, so.
Oh, nice.
That works out, kid.
But we're there. I think Oklahoma. We're doing a place called Zoo Amphitheater. And it's a little festival, and STP is headlining.
Who sings for them now?
I don't know, man. It's some dude that like he does well. I've already seen him once with this new guy. It's Fire Truck, and he's awesome. They were so good. They were so fucking good.
Awesome. My only problem is this, which is Scott Weiland is probably at the end of the day my favorite vocalist of all time. And those
are tough shoes to fill.
I know, and they're impossible. And he was so amazing live. I put him up there I put STP up there with seeing bands like Pantera or Rage live. because it was so phenomenal. And, again, best front man. So getting into that mix after the dude dies, it's always going to be a hard fucking sell. And he doesn't have the moxie, the new singer. He's very talented, but he doesn't have the moxie of like, for example, Brian Johnson when he got in AC/DC, when he was just, kind of all smiles and like, let's fucking do this, blah, blah, blah. This guy's a little more reserved. And because of that, it's not working as well as I would like it. I'm still stoked you're going to see them. And I'm going to sooner than later see them with this new singer. I've seen clips and also his range is insane. This is the other thing too, is they've discovered him because he was like, on that show, The Voice.
Oh, okay.
Which to me already is a notch against you a little bit.
Yeah,
in some way. If they picked him from like a great band and they're like, he was a killer up and coming band. Now he's whatever. There'd be a little more credibility there. I also think that they passed up a couple people that they should have gave a shot to, particularly the singer of Filter, Richard Patrick, the singer. And I just saw them fucking crush. Shout out to the band Sponge. They played Livewire and their singer is like very Scott Weiland-esque. And Sponge was a huge band. I mean, they played Livewire, yes, but it was still a fucking killer show. That was more of a scheduling conflict. They were supposed to play Brower House, and then there was like last minute had to move. They were double booked or something. But giving a dude a shot from that '90s era would have been cool. But actually, you want a younger vocal.
Yeah, you want some new blood in there.
New blood, and also they have better stamina, and their vocal cords haven't been put through the ringer from singing at '90s fests with lit and all this shit and never clear for a few years. But you're gonna get a great, obviously, set because their catalog, SCP's catalog, is fucking unreal. They have so many hits. Yeah. And they were, man, that band was so good live. And I love Scott Weiland so much. And they always brought it. And I was lucky enough to see them. Those were two of the bands I always wanted to saw a lot of. I was like, again, Pantera was my shit. I saw so many SCPs. I saw them like 6 times back in the day, all off like the tour number 4, Shangri-La Da. I saw them. There was a DVD shot at the Riv when they came back. And I was there and I'm actually in the footage. And that was amazing. And that was probably in 2010 or something. That was like their last run before Scott Weiland died. But amazing fucking vocalist, irreplaceable. He was the man.
Definitely, yeah.
He's the voice of that band.
He's so versatile.
Oh, I feel. Didn't the singer from Linkin Park play with them for a while?
Yeah, he never did a record with them, but he maybe did do a record with them.
I don't think he did.
But he definitely was their singer.
That's very strange.
Yeah.
Very weird.
Not quite in the same vocal range, but
no, I don't think of when I hear "Crawling" by Linkin Park. I don't think of anything remotely close to Stone Temple Pilots.
I like your first part of your quote, which is when I hear "Crawling" by Linkin Park, I don't think of anything.
I don't think of anything. Yeah, well, that is pretty much true. That song doesn't do much for me these days. But Hybrid Theory shit, I almost did that for this episode because like that was a record at the time, like a big new metal record that I loved as a kid.
It's like one of the biggest
that's
ones.
like Linkin Park is that band for me that I know so many kids from like my generation, like my era, like they're about to be 30. They had this whole cycle where they like relived their love for Linkin Park and rekindled it. I didn't. Dude, I don't like that band. Dude. Yeah, I know. I mean, that record's fine. It doesn't offend me if it's on and like it doesn't bother me. But like at the time when I was a kid, it was like my be all end all. I thought it was so good.
I think we all know what's happening, which is right now in an office somewhere. Yeah, there are people in Linkin Park's camp. They're trying to find another singer. They have to be because Linkin Park is such a band that in almost a tribute aspect, once Chester Bennington died, it became more popular. And they still have all the original members. And
the core guys are still there.
All those guys are in their own way are like kind of fucking geniuses. Whether it's the DJ is Mr. Han, he's the name.
His name?
The Asian dude. And then also the producer, which is Mike Shinoda, is the second vocalist
and guitarist.
And all these dudes who are like in big, almost like emo, screamo type bands right now, they modeled their style after Chester. They were like huge fans of him.
Oh yeah.
You could take a dude from that world that's like kind of a great vocalist that's been around the fucking block. I haven't listened to Bring Me the Horizon, but if memory serves, there's kind of a similarity, at least a little bit. If you got that dude in your band,
they're definitely like a post Linkin Park.
And then you could have a rebirth that everyone is looking for right now because everyone loved that band and everyone still looks back at them and they want to have another shot. Like this could be their Back in Black and then start a whole new career because they're still young and they still look great. But obviously COVID threw a wrench and why do we need a sense of urgency to get this band back rolling? Right. Like, it's coming. It's got to be coming.
Oh yeah, it's got to be. I wonder who they're going to, they're going to have somebody.
They have to get a replacement. They can't get a person who's going to be like, Corey Taylor's filling in for... No, like,
it's got to be a legit replacement.
Yeah, he's got to be the new guy, and they need to be all in with him and say, we're writing new music with him, and he's got to sound like Chester, and he's doesn't have to... The other vocal parts are all done by Mike, so that'll work out. He's still in the band, and there's enough credibility all around him, meaning if that initial core is still there, and obviously Chester can't be there because he's dead, it will work. It will definitely work.
I think
it'll be huge.
I think so too.
Especially if he's like a babe with tattoos that's like on a little bit on the younger side. The girls are going to love him. It's going to be fucking monstrous.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they will love him. But, what are you going to do? It's Lincoln fucking Park. What are you going to do about it, huh? I mean, I remember they were that band that kind of became a different band by the end of their career, and I don't think I've ever really heard much music from their later albums. But
how many more albums are there after that big one?
They have a lot, man.
Meteora, is that one?
Meteora is one. Yeah, they have...
I do vaguely remember that.
6, 7. They have 8 records. Hybrid Theory being the first. The last one I listened to was Meteora. And then they did Minutes to Midnight in 2007, 1,000 Suns in 2010, Living Things in 2012, The Hunting Party in 2014, and One More Light in 2017.
Yeah, One More Light was, I know that last one.
Yeah, because that's I think it's a posthumous release of when Chester already died, but then there was that big One More Light single that like a bunch of people covered. It was like, okay, I get it. Sorry, guys. But like...
You realize that I saw Limp Bizkit on the Chocolate Starfish tour, and everyone knows this info show. It was them and Metallica and Linkin Park.
Wow.
And it was...
Who headlined?
Metallica headlined.
Yeah, they had.
And then no one could, even if Led Zeppelin came back, it's hard to headline over Metallica these days.
Yeah, I was going to say, who could ever headline over Metallica right now?
Rolling Stones, maybe. Yeah. And I'm sure they wouldn't put them on the same bill.
What was Metallica touring on?
It was on, I want to say St. Anger. Yeah.
Wow. That would have been a sick fit.
Or it might have been, maybe they were just touring just cause. But it was
Summer Sanitarium tour.
Yeah, it was definitely a Summer Sanitarium. But you saw the shift in Linkin Park went on right before Limp Bizkit, and they went over so well. Everyone was just gushing over them, and they were on Hybrid Theory, but they had already toured Hybrid Theory for like 2 years at that point. But all those songs off that one are just such jams.
Yeah,
and then Limp Bizkit comes on, they got booed off the stage. And Fred didn't do himself any favors by playing into it. Like if someone was like yelling at him and booing shit, he'd be like, "Fuck you, motherfucker!" And then now 5 people are gonna do it. It's like ripping out a daisy, and it's like now or Dandelion. They're all like 5 more are popping up. Now, you just have to kind of ignore it and weather the storm.
Just move on. Yeah,
that's what Machine Gun Kelly's shooting himself in the foot because he's playing all these festivals, getting booed, and he's playing into it like, I know you're booing me, motherfucker. Like that type of shit. It's like they're gonna do it more. Especially when you're in some rock fest in Louisville where it's like they worship Slipknot there, dude.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you're kind of a guest in the rock world right now. They're always going to see you as a rap guy turned rock. We're okay with it, but even still, dude.
Better be careful. Yeah. Tread those waters.
Yeah, exactly. The Slipknot has been killing it here for 1,000,000 years. Small clubs, big clubs, whatever, and that's it.
And their masks aren't weird, man. Yeah, and have you seen, I'm sure you've seen it, the legendary, well, not really legendary, but the Metallica Icon show on MTV.
Yeah, so Avril Lavigne does Fuel.
Yeah, and fucking Limp Bizkit does One.
And Snoop Dogg does Sad But True.
Yeah.
Which is fucking amazing.
Yeah, and then at the end of fucking...
Wait, isn't it Korn that does One?
No, Korn does One, I think.
Yeah.
It's Limp Bizkit that they do Sanitarium.
Korn does One because I remember they get to the solo section and they fucking tap out.
Yeah.
Which cracks me up so bad.
Yeah.
Like, God damn it.
But I remember that because, Limp Bizkit does Sanitarium, and at the end... there's an iconic move Fred Durst does where it's like, leave me alone, I want to break the fuck out. And he does this like whole like arm thing when he's doing it. Very like white rapper move. And it's just so funny. Like it's such a fun video to watch and rewind him saying that over and over again. Leave me the fuck alone, I want to break the fuck out, come out. So good. Like right before, like it's right at the end of the song.
Korn to this day does, what do you call it? They do the One breakdown in all their sets.
Do they really?
Yeah, so like I've seen them live several times since, and they're always doing it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. The on bass.
Yeah.
Crushing it.
That is some good shit. Classic, man. Classic Bizkit album. It's just really fun. It's like one of those records.
It's the record. It's their. I can't believe that they beat Significant Other with popularity, but they did with this one.
Yeah,
and it was amazing songs off, and then it's those 3 records, man, which is everyone knows, $3 Bill for the most part. I still love so many songs off. That's my favorite record. And then those 2 beasts back to back. And then it kind of just everything else is icing on cake. If you got a good song here and there after that, cool. But you, for the most part, didn't really. It's like when you hear a song like Dad Vibes, you're like, this is great. But if I go see them live, I don't need to hear them play it.
No.
But you need to hear Rollin'. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That is definitely a true key fact. And did you had a CD copy of this, right?
Oh, hell yeah.
I had a CD copy. Yeah, I you know what? I got this late because I got it thrown in my face. And then I kind of, again, I was going more of that Slipknot route. And actually at that point, I was going more like this Pantera route where I was like, I love new metal. Do not get me wrong. But and then obviously CDs were expensive back then. So I had I'd rather pick up like an old Ozzy CD, which I did in 99, then go buy the Limp Bizkit one. But I'm pretty sure I had a burn copy of it. I definitely knew the songs at the back of my hand.
Sure.
And the videos were, prevalent. I mean, it was just, they were on MTV every fucking other video. Big deals. And then The Undertaker started coming out to Rollin' by Limp Bizkit at this time. For all you wrestling fans out there.
Dude, whoever designed that CD though, like the packaging and the booklet and everything,
probably
horrible job. Did a really bad job. Well, the artwork is fine,
artwork is
but whoever put the text in there, you can't even read any of it. It looks so fucking small.
Yeah,
yeah, it just looks like somebody just threw it fucking together last minute, and they were like, "Oh, here's a limp," instead of like a nice package and like, "Oh, I could read what everything says," and it looks coherent. It's coherent. It's just like a bunch of random pictures and shit. Doesn't look good.
I remember Wes's solo band, Big Dumb Face. He came out like almost like right after this record a little bit. It was a couple years after that. I think it had the similar art look.
Yeah, because he does all the artwork itself. But like whoever does the layout, like whoever like put it all together.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
it's just in the layout.
Yeah, the artwork I love. I love that.
Well, it wasn't even Paris, and that's why.
Yeah, but the layout itself was just like, wow, who did like? This is a huge record. Why does it look like it's a demo, like a comp CD I got at a fucking like shit show? It's like.
It was like the last thing everybody's thinking about.
But I do like the art style. I really like that art style. It's so iconic, like 90s, like cartoon character versions of yourself. That's so
gross
sick.
Cartoon.
I love that shit.
Gross cartoon, yep.
Big fan of that stuff.
This is obviously the following record is it Results May Vary?
Yeah, which I really like the single from that one.
Yeah, I forget what it was.
Yeah, Results May Vary.
Can't remember
that was behind Blue Eyes, and then there was
not that, but there was the one that had the video with Thor Birch in it.
Yeah, the one outside where they're
on the outside.
I'm still looking at Linkin Park. Whoops.
Understandable.
Yeah, I know the song you're talking about. I don't like that song though.
Really? I like that song.
I didn't like anything off of this record that much.
Other than that song, I don't really know much.
Let's see. Eat You Alive.
Yes.
Yes, that was a great song.
Yeah. Chocolate Starfish. And Results May Vary. And then Stampede of the Disco Elephants is the tentative title of the new record, I guess.
Okay.
Don't know what the fuck that means, but okay.
Sounds like a Dog Fashion Disco title.
Yeah, not crazy on that.
That is a band that no longer exists, right?
They don't.
Long since
maybe we'll talk about them down the line.
Dog Fashion Disco.
Do you know anything about that band?
No, but they use our merch company, Indie Merch.
Really?
Yeah, they have Dog Fashion Disco merch on there.
There was a.
You guys like that band? I think I know somebody that one of my coworkers toured with them at one of their
bands. Followed. Yeah. I mean, it's them, and there's that weird metal culture where it's like them, Psycho Stick.
What's the other one?
Psycho Stick.
Mindless Self-Indulgence.
Yeah, Mindless Self-Indulgence.
That was the more like avant-garde new metal kind of.
Yeah, it's still like big-ish, like that band Downtown Brown.
I don't know. It's kind of like the wacky sides of like System of a Down to an extreme.
Yeah, because System is wacky, but.
But they still reel it in.
There's a message behind it that's not really wacky. It's
whereas
just the way they dress it up.
It's just the
fucking stupid ass.
It's kind of like, how Iron Dissonance is the breakdowns of Meshuggah. It's like Dog Fashion Disco is the wacky parts of System of a Down. It's like that. It's like, if you want that, there it is.
You want a song about playing video games, then that's those.
Yeah, I remember I listened to an album a couple of years ago because like somebody told me, and I was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot because I remember them, and I remember liking a few songs here and there. I was like, oh yeah, I was like, I get this, it's fun, but I haven't listened to it since. So take that for what it is.
Yeah. Well, shit, fellas.
Shit, fellas.
We got another 3 fucking records under our belts.
We did it. did it
sure
again.
did. I'm running out of new metal picks. I gotta really fucking dig deep.
Hey, man, just go over to my house, man.
Yeah, I'll have to, man.
I'll have to bring my CD booklet and just put it in front of you.
Yeah, I guess.
Probably 50% new metal.
Well, I'm glad that we got to listen to Methods of Mayhem was probably Lindemann was the best one. Lindemann was the best.
We gotta have a new segment on the end of the show called Best in Show.
Yeah.
Which is basically, we decide now what we think the best record is out of all those three.
I would always ask, what's the album? Are any of these, would you listen to again afterwards?
I'm going to listen to Methods of Mayhem again, for sure, without a doubt.
But do you think, it's always going to be in the rotation in some degree, or is it just for now?
Dude, I don't even have a rotation anymore.
Okay, that's
My rotation is always just changing. It's just whatever the fuck it is, But I will say, I saved this and Lindemann to my Spotify library. So
nice.
Yeah, I will be listening.
I think that it's pretty simple, which is I give the artistic nod to Methods of Mayhem.
Oh yeah.
Lindemann is the best sounding out of all the records.
Oh yeah.
But the iconic one is Chocolate Starfighter.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
And you can't beat that because, again, it is hard to write fucking catchy songs like they did. And they wrote 6 of them for this one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that are iconic, catchy new metal songs. And that's it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just to me, Methods, and when I first heard Methods of Mayhem, I'm like, okay, I get it. It's like a Limp Bizkit type thing, but not as good. That's what I thought of, the first thing in my head. That was my comparison, by default. And Limp Bizkit, look at it, look how much more they did with their music than Methods of Mayhem. You know what I mean? There was a lot more of a lot more focus on the songwriting, I think, and a lot more hooks thrown in there and a lot more heaviness blended into it.
It also goes to show you, when you have bands that, we were just talking about a second ago, Dog Fashion Disco, how they take the small portion of a bigger band and they run with it. And it goes well. There's a bit of a cult following, but there's never this huge breakout moment. But the reason why a band like Bizkit is so huge as they were is the fact that they did do this wide range of sound.
Yep.
And it wasn't just a singular thing or maybe two things put together. And that's why they had the longevity that they had, But whereas Methods of Mayhem, they just took the weird parts of Bizkit that people did but then it's you can't overdo it. That's the problem. And it's would you say junk food?
Junk food, yeah. Or
it's it's great in the moment. And you're yeah. But if you do this constantly, it's not good for you. you know? So it goes to show you as much as bands can get flack for having a wide range of sound or changing their sound a little bit to go into one direction or another, it is better in the long run. It
has to be a part of your DNA as well. I know for a fact, and I heard this in an interview with DJ Lethal recently, that the Fred Durst and John Otto, who were essentially the guys who, everyone's a founding member of Limp Bizkit, who's on the first record, but they were monstrous fans of his previous band, House of Pain.
Mm-hmm.
And they use that as a blueprint where they're we want to be House of Pain mixed with legit heavy instruments. And when they started getting rolling, it was, no pun intended, it was them asking DJ Lethal to help produce their record. And then eventually they're you should join our band.
Just be in the band.
Or he was going to produce demos for them. And then it worked out. And then they ended up getting that original lineup together. But
what was DJ Lethal on all their records? Even on $3 Bill, yo?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think he technically is not a member, right, on that album.
I think he was. It's just, I think he got in right
as they started up.
Yeah, because he's very present on that record.
Somebody else.
Yeah.
Oh, what's his name from Deftones? Frank Delgado, right?
He was in Limp Bizkit.
No. So he's the DJ for Deftones,
yes.
but it wasn't until the second album that he was officially a member.
And I think,
even though he is,
I think
on the first
I don't even
album.
know if, I think maybe White Pony was the first one he was in it.
Maybe he's official, but he was on the previous albums.
Yeah, and it sucks because Frank's obviously an amazing DJ, but it's hard to work in people when you already got the wheels fucking rolling.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? it is what it is. But yeah, they formed the blueprint based around House of Pain and heavy music they liked, and it was different than Tom. An example is this, which is Tommy Lee formed it off of, I like this new style of music coming up. I'm taking my blueprint is Limp Bizkit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that's way different than taking House of Pain and saying, we like this band that's basically and then we're going to add these other elements. That's where you get this wider range, as opposed to saying we're following what Limp Bizkit are doing.
Mm-hmm.
Way different.
Yeah, this guy's done a lot of stuff.
Who? DJ Lethal?
Yeah. just like discography and stuff. He's worked with a lot of other bands. He was on a Sugar Ray album in 1995.
Yeah, he I think recorded or produced that.
Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah. Huh. So weird. Like DJ Lethal, a Latvian American DJ.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Latvian.
His name is something. I think his name is Lee.
Let me look.
Like or Lyell. Like
Leor's Demants.
Yeah, so that's where lethal comes from.
What is that name?
Leors. Leors. And then his last name is Dimants, Dimants.
And everyone just calls him Lee. That's where
DJ Lethal.
Lee, what's up, buddy? What's good, Lee?
That's way easier to pronounce.
Shit, it works for them, man. Whew, yeah. Well, shit.
Shall we?
Yeah.
Jason Nitz, take us to the Matthews Bridge.
I will take you to the Matthews Bridge. I'll take anybody to the
This was super fun. I always love seeing you guys in this context.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Dude.
It's fucking rules.
Absolutely.
Keep it up. And then until next time, a couple months from now.
Yeah. Plugging anything?
No, I mean, what do you call it? Shout out to, if you haven't watched it, you should get back into boxing because I saw a great fucking boxing match between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder yesterday. It was fucking great. So boxing is coming back. Nice. And besides that, that's it. I just want to say get back on the boxing tip. It's fucking starting to get good again.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's awesome. Me? You know what? I'll plug that new Metroid game. It's really good. Okay. If you guys like video games, to my little...
Did your buddy's game come out yet?
Yeah, Anton Ball Deluxe did come out on Switch.
Nice.
So that's out by Proponent Games. Check that out. It's also on Steam if you want to check that out. And yeah, if you're a fan of video games like and Nintendo bullshit like the new Metro game just dropped. It's fucking awesome if you're a fan of that series, especially like the OG ones. It's such a fucking awesome experience. So
nice.
Check it out if you like games. And then I think I had something else too to plug, but I am totally fucking drawn a blank. Oh yeah, that new Viljarta record comes out next week. Very excited for that. So
cool.
Yeah, that's all I got. We'll talk about. That's probably going to be my pick on the next death metal. Yeah, even though it's not really metal, death metal. It kind of is.
It's in that vein.
Yeah. So yeah, R.I.P. 80-something-minute record. I'm sorry in advance. Yeah. So
ready.
Yeah. Almost 3. That's almost listening to. That's almost listening to the Methods of Mayhem record 3 times in a row. So.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Not the same quality, even.
Yeah, good times. Yeah, not even the same quality.
It's so much better, but anyway.
Yeah, well, shit, that's all I got.
I got nothing. Just check out the bands.
Yeah, per usual. Something is waiting. Is right here. Basically,
two-thirds of it, basically.
Yeah.
Your buddy's band, Rivers and Now. Check out their music video they just put out,
Void.
And there's an instrumental.
Yeah,
I just watched earlier today.
Sound escapes.
Very cool.
Great song too.
It's really fucking good.
That out.
Yeah.
I like the direction of that song. I need to get off my ass and really check out that album. I feel bad.
It is great.
That song is cool.
Yeah.
Like
I'm gonna try and get one of them on here to talk about it when they're done with tour.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hell yeah.
That's it.
Thanks, guys.
That's all I had. Thank
you for having me here.
Dude, of course.
Always a great time.
Absolutely. Until next time, man.
Peace, y'all.
Rock and roll.
Thanks.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for checking out this week's episode. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. Feel free to drop us a like or a comment on whatever platform you listen or watch us on. Share us on whatever social media you use. Every little bit counts, so we appreciate it. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys next week.